boarders who lived here as well. These are some of the albums that my mother carefully put together.
Photos from Williams' family albums are on display at the Manitoba Museum for Black History Month. Many of them were taken by her grandmother, Beatrice Brown.
The Railway Porters Band Picnic.
The pictures give us a view of Winnipeg's early Black history, something Williams wishes was more widely known.
We've been here for a long time, and so when you ask us where we're born, it can be offensive. It's because a lot of us were born here.
And not only from here, but key to building the Winnipeg of today.
Exactly.
And you're here right by my side.
Williams is well known for organizing Jerry Fest in honor of her late brother, Jerry Atwell. But her family's been a big part of the community for well over a century.
They had some money that had come through the family in the form of diamonds. And kind of a bittersweet story. My great-great-great-grandmother was an enslaved woman, and her name was known to us as Black Beauty. Her enslaver loved her, and he freed her 3 children a couple of years before emancipation and gave them some diamonds, and they went off on their own at 12, 13, and 14 to the northern states. They worked in servitude positions until they made it to Canada.
Those diamonds bought the family's boarding homes in Winnipeg. That's where Williams' mother grew up and made her own mark on history.
She went to University of Manitoba and graduated with a degree in pharmacy in 1948. 29 male students, 5 women were in her class, and she's known as the first Black person to graduate from the University of Manitoba in pharmacy.
Her mom met Judy's dad, George Atwell, at the boarding house.
He came to Canada from Trinidad. He was told to stay at the Browns boarding house. They were a good family. My mom always describes it as someone tall, dark, and handsome showing up at the door of her place.
A lot of Black students stayed with the Browns since university residences were white only.
Must not have been easy. I bet there were some challenges.
I know there would have been challenges for my mother. When it came time for her apprenticeship, she couldn't find one. But my grandmother, her mother Beatrice, because she had the connection with the church, and she was able to get a placement for my mother at the St. Boswell Hospital. So that worked out really well. The same kind of thing happened to my father when it came to his work practicum when he was finishing education. He ended up finding a position in a small little town that doesn't even exist anymore called Reedy Creek. He ended up at a one-room schoolhouse he taught at. He loved it. It was his favorite job of all times.
Her father was also a lieutenant commander at HCMS Chippewa, one of its highest-ranking Black reservists.
And that difficulty of finding an apprenticeship or a practicum, is that because of the race barrier, because they were Black?
Definitely it was. It was at the time. Seeing my parents in the role of teacher, in the role of pharmacist, was life-changing for some people. Like seeing the pharmacist that serves you at the counter, that asks you questions about yourself, and then, fills your prescription. And then also having a teacher that you can identify with, for sure. It's very important.
Thanks so much for sharing
You're
your
welcome.
story, Judy.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Canadians throw about 85% of their used clothes into the landfill, generating about 1.1 billion kilos of textile waste every year. That makes the fashion industry one of the biggest polluters on the planet. A lot of that is because of fast fashion, cheap, trendy clothing, often worn only a handful of times. Some students in Winnipeg have designs on minimizing some of that waste.
We just dump it into the oceans and other countries, and there's just so much waste in the world.
The students are upcycling, turning old garments into fresh new looks.
So I filled up a bunch of bags of old winter sweaters that were stretched out and kind of stained, and I cut them up to make this patchwork dress that is still kind of in the work in progress.
Never, ever, ever be basic for nobody.
Their teacher, Michelle Maynard, has her own sustainable fashion brand.
Creatively, when you upcycle something, you really have to use your design brain and figure out, how to make something look good. Maybe something had holes in it or was trash, and you really have to turn it into something that's wearable or commercially viable. This jacket,
She took it a step further and had the students enter a nationwide upcycling challenge for course credit.
It's just important for them to know wherever they go in the future, it doesn't matter where they're going to be working, sustainability is going to be a part of what they have to do.
One student turned a used vinyl purse into a striking two-piece outfit.
When I was at the thrift store, I just saw like this bag that had a cool cutout and the idea came.
Another student turned a traditional Ethiopian gown into a sporty new look.
Upcycling is good because, you know, in our closet, every closet we have old clothes, like we throw it or we keep it long time instead of like reusing it.
The winners of the Upcycling Challenge will be announced during Fashion Revolution Week, which starts on Earth Day.
This is a 60s inspired coat.
Win or lose, Lee says upcycled fashion has already paid off for her.
Growing up, I was considered a little kooky, out of the box, and you know, over time I've developed my sense of style that's a little bit, you know, colorful and fun. And it just helped me be more comfortable with myself, and I just hope one day I could do that for somebody else too.
Emily Brass, CBC News, Winnipeg.
I'm so pleased that he's getting a chance to go into the C5 Hall of Fame for 5-pin bowling.
I was very excited, actually, to be recognized, because I put 4 years of my life on a bowling 5-pin.
Makes me very happy to know that he's going to be in there for all the time so everyone else can see what a great player he was in his generation.
He's from Thompson, Manitoba. He's just one solid, steady performer. DiVirgilio, he said yes when the ball was halfway down the lane.
I watched him do a roll-off once where he threw 18 strikes in a row over 2 games. I remember it to this day how incredible it was just to see that. Very rare. When he was at the top of his game, he was, like I said, arguably the best in Canada for a period.
And it's on the head pin again. DiVirgilio had an amazing percentage of strikes for hits in this series.
I was rated #1 across the country because I entered a lot of tournaments I was winning, so there was a point system which I was the #1.
He's been around, knows how to win, and he's very dedicated to the game.
I've been bowling 2-3 times a month. I went nationally. Every province I went more than once, 5 times probably.
He was a Masters champion in Winnipeg in 1979.
When I first watched him play, and the game was a different game back then, it was more of a accuracy, like slower shots would work when the pins were free fall as opposed to strings, and he was just so deadly accurate, like he didn't seem to ever miss.
And yes.
We've had a ton of great players up in northern Manitoba as I grew up, and he was probably the best of the best that we had here.
Last ball in the 10th for Nick DiVirgilio.
He's won multiple national championships representing Manitoba and northern Manitoba.
Nick DiVirgilio, the national champion.
Right now I'm 78 years old. It's pretty tough to bowl 1 game or 3 games because my knee's not 100%. But I enjoy doing it. I try it, but I can do it. So I had to give it up. And I'm kind of sorry for that, but that's life. And I would try to help the kids, whoever wants teaching, they want assistance. I'll spend time to teach them.
Anything he tells me, I try to use in my game because he's been through all of that before. What would Nick do in this position? I've definitely thought about that a few times. I can't express how much he means to me for my game and everything he's done for me here as a proprietor and as a friend, and it's been my honor just to know the man and get to compete and play with him as well.
Thanks, Nick. I'll be back for some libations.
Summer is here, and it also means that it's camping season. Now, whether you're an experienced camper who's gone out in the backcountry, or you're pitching a tent for the very first time, my next guest has some tips to make your next outdoor adventure fun and exciting.
Kevin Callan is an outdoor educator and author of the book, Another Bend in the River, The Happy Camper's Memoir. He joins us from Bridge, North Ontario.
Kevin, how do you get someone who has maybe never camped before enthusiastic about heading out for the first time?
I would say the most important thing, well, first of all, a sense of humor.
Kevin, I like that. That's a really good point.
Number one, I think, is they overexcel themselves the very first trip. And probably it's because some person that believes that they should overexcel themselves takes them out, and they hate camping. They hate it. And that's the worst mistake you can ever make. I'm the happy camper. I thrive, I don't survive out there, right? So make sure they enjoy their very first trip, or you enjoy your very first trip, and you'll want to keep going back.
We don't want to overpack, we don't want to underpack. What are some of the important things that we should be bringing with us when we do go on a camping trip?
Just bulk. A lot of people just bring too much stuff. So if you use these compression sacks and make your sleeping bag, well, that's a really good quality sleeping bag, but it's so small, and the smaller it is, the better, right? So your clothes, people bring way too many clothes, so put them in a compression sack and make them smaller. Get your pillow, obviously bring a pillow, right? But put it in a compression sack. Those will save you so much more room for all the good things, like your wine and whiskey and things like that.
What are some of the unspoken rules or maybe some of the etiquette around camping?
People say hello to people. I can't believe this. My dad always taught me, you always say hello to someone in the bush because they might have to save you one day. And that happened to me a few years ago.
Kevin, what are some tips that you have if parents want to be taking out their kids for the first time?
Do not wait until they're a pre-teenager. They will not go with you when they're a pre-teenager. They'll become aliens, right? My daughter, when she turned 14, well, it's not cool to be with you, Dad, anymore, right? So before that, she went on endless canoe trips, endless camping trips, and even in the front country, and just loved nature because she reconnected to it. We all are born from wilderness. We all are connecting to it. We just need time out there to familiarize ourselves with it. Make them part of the trip, the journey. Do not guide them. Be the camp counselor and make sure that they carry a pack, or they make the mac and cheese around the campfire, or they toast marshmallows. And they'll actually really enjoy the trip more because they're part of it.
Now, of course, Kevin, we know that a camping trip can be so much fun, but people can get annoyed by the bugs out there. What are some of your tips about how to deal with bugs?
Mosquitoes are brutal this year. I don't know what's going on with the world, but they're brutal. And how to deal with them. Yes, I can talk about using DEET, I can talk about other things, but mosquitoes find you by your emissions, your heat emissions. So the more frenzy you get, the more they are attracted to you. The more dark colors you have, they'll find you, right? So just bring someone on your camping trip that hate mosquitoes and afraid of them. That's your fly pie. They'll all go to them.
Thanks, Kevin. That's Kevin Callan, an outdoor enthusiast and author, AKA the Happy Camper. So whether you're a beginner at this or a seasoned veteran, some great tips from Kevin there to make your camping season fun, safe, and enjoyable.
We were given 2 days to forgive the attackers before they returned. We hardly knew how to read or to write, but that day, we learned how to vote.
Do nothing.
Stay and fight. Leave. If we do not forgive these men, we forfeit our place in heaven.
Our choice will be your future.
My name is Keita Alfred, and I'm the costume designer for Women Talking. My teachers, my colleagues, my teammates, my friends, schoolmates, many of them are Mennonite, and I know that the culture has a lot of history here in Manitoba. So if I were allowed to do some research here, I think we could get the most amazing information. And so the studio, Lynn Lucibello, allowed me to do that. People went out of their way to share their heritage with me, to share their knowledge, to share their methods of their manufacturing methods, the reasons behind those manufacturing methods. So because of that graciousness, everywhere I went, this happened in the community. I wanted to make sure that the costumes were as accurate as possible. And because I had access to people who were familiar with plain dress, and even some of whom even lived that way, I was able to get the details correct. Within those very narrow but accurate parameters for plain dress, I had to choose fabric and textures and colors and scale of pattern to almost subliminally
represent character for each of the individual characters, the actors in our room. I said to them all, the actors, it's like, here's what your dress is going to look like. And I often make very narrow parameters like this, but within that, how are we going to pull out character? How am I going to be able to provide you with things that will help you develop your character? For the Friesens, I saw pure tones of purples and blue, bright blues, electric almost colors, repetitive, forward-moving patterns on a smaller, regular scale. I use the word electric a lot. I'm not quite sure why, implying motion and forward motion. With the Lowens, I was drawn to more natural colors like greens and browns and purples, more irregular patterns that involved swirling and florals to a certain extent, but looser patterns that to me spoke of murkiness and perhaps deep troubled waters. Not only did we use the outside details, we also, and in discussion with each actor, we chose body augmentation that you don't see on camera. It was to help the actors perhaps change their physicality. I do this when I say it, but none of those women had had 10 children and lived on a farm all their lives and done back-breaking hard farm work all their lives, so they wanted to experience living in bodies that weren't like their own. So we did a little bit of addition or subtraction or restriction. A couple of the actors wanted something that would remind them of maybe being in labor 10 times, and maybe your pelvis was exhausted after that, and maybe you needed some sort of support, literally and figuratively, to keep your body together and to allow you to keep going. There are elements under the costumes that were also, for us, part of the costume. They help the actors move in different ways. Yeah, we just wanted to make sure it was accurate and respectful. At every point we wanted to be respectful because we had been given, and I in particular, in my research and in my help, was given the best help possible.
Eid is the time for Winnipeg's Muslim community to come together, to reconnect after a month of fasting and reflection during the holy month of Ramadan.
Normally we are busy with our lives and work and all, but these 2 days, like this Eid and the one Eid that's coming 2 months later, it's like one opportunity, one day where we all come together, and it's really good.
Zain Siddiqui is an international student originally from Pakistan. He says days like Eid remind him of home.
It's good to see, like this community, over the years it has grown. So it's good to have those people, it gives you that sense of being home. At least like for 2 times in a year, you get that sense that there are similar people around and you're not alone.
In previous years, the Manitoba Islamic Association held Eid prayers at the RBC Convention Centre, but that space wasn't available this year. Instead, they held events across the city, with the largest one at the Assiniboia Downs Event Centre.
It's kind of sad story, but it's in other way it's very good also. We spread out around the city.
Winnipeg's Muslim community is quickly growing, making it difficult to find a space for the community to congregate.
The community grew by leaps and bounds. The first year after COVID, when we were allowed to congregate and we were gathered, we had 2 prayers planned at RBC, and we had to have an impromptu 3rd prayer because people still were coming in.
Eid at Assiniboia Downs attracted politicians from all levels of government and all parties. It means a lot to Latif to see the city and province support his community.
We're very happy to see them because they are supporting us for the years. It's good, very good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Even though prayer events happened across the city this morning, Latif hopes to return to the RBC Convention Centre next year, bringing the community together to pray under one roof. Stephanie Cram, CBC News, Winnipeg.
can call you a Jets fanatic, right?
Fanatic is fair. Yes.
I'm here in Tyler Swar's basement. Tyler is a Jets fanatic. Hi, Tyler.
Hello.
Tell me about this, because this is impressive. This is, what would you call this, your Jets fan cave?
That's fair to call it cave, yeah.
How long has it taken for you to collect all the Jets memorabilia that you have in here?
Everything on these walls and tucked away has been an accumulation of the last 34 years of my life, I would say.
Tell me about why you decided to build a space like this.
Ooh, no fun watching games alone, that's for sure. The more people you get in the basement, the more fun it is, you know. Nothing better than watching a team go down like they did the other night, and to be on the brink of a devastating loss at home, pushed to overtime, and you have 5, 6, you know, sometimes as many as 12 people around blowing the lid off the roof, so makes it all that much more special.
Now, what makes it such a great place to watch a Jets game in?
Well, aside from the multiple TVs, the viewing experience is pretty nice. It's all the stuff on the walls and the stories that come along with it, right? So even when there is a quiet spot in the game, or maybe things don't go as you planned, there's always a positive you can pull from, and there's always something to talk about that can, you know, keep everyone's hopes up, keep the dream alive.
Earliest memory as a Jets fan?
Earliest memory would be probably being in the building during some of those playoff games in the early 90s, playing against either LA or Detroit.
Scores! Now, this has to be a place that your friends, you probably have a lot of people that want to come by here and watch a Jets game. What is it like, or do you have a lot of people come over here to watch the Jets games?
Yeah, weekends definitely more than weeknights. When the weather's good, that also helps. People don't want to leave the house when it's minus 40. People that come by on the daily, sometimes weekly, there's a handful, you know who you are, but they always bring by stuff to stock the fridge, so no qualms there.
Game 5 coming up here. It's pretty much do or die against Vegas. What do you think?
Just got to win one. Got to win one and look on to the next. They've got all the tools in the tool belt. They showed that they can beat big dogs before, and I think they can do it again.
Plans on expanding this at all?
Well, the wife wants a bit of a bigger home, so I can only cross my fingers for that to happen, so that the basement's a little bit bigger, and we can probably double this in size, and that means doubling occupancy.
And you're going to invite myself and Gary over?
Absolutely. The Jets stay on this run. You guys got to come by.
Well, Tyler, it was an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and go Jets go. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Awesome. Go Jets go. Thank you guys.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
She's beautiful.
My name is Diane Mekwayashing, and we are here at the Medicine Doll Workshop. We are making these medicine dolls. They're maybe like about almost like maybe a little bit of a foot long or more. These are like healing dolls. We make the dolls, and then we also make these dresses out of different colors and some hair from the yarn. With my daughter and I, we decided to start this medicine doll project and make dolls for children in foster care, and do workshops for survivors of residential school. And it's sort of reclaiming a tradition that was taken away or not there anymore because of the colonial violence. These dolls are sort of these adult survivors, and it's kind of healing the child within.
My name is Evelyn Seaton from Wewesikapo. It just has a lot of meaning because I think of my grandmothers when I think of homemade toys, and because my mother used to make our dolls for us, not like this, but with towels and a body, and that was it. But being able to make this is great meaning to me because I have grandchildren too now. It's very nurturing because it's something that I did. It's almost like when I had my children.
My name is Carolyn Razo. I'm Anishinaabe, meaning I'm a woman. And also this brings back a good memory of my family as well as my mother. My mother attended residential school, and she said she left about the age of 4. And when she was at home, her mother used to make actual little dolls. They were half the size, my mom said the size of the hand. And they would make them out of pillowcases and use whatever remnants they had around the home. And then when she went to boarding school at age 4, she said she became lonely. So when the young women wanted comfort, they were allowed, and they would find remnants around the boarding schools and they would make themselves little dolls. We're reminded about our relatives that attended residential school, the 60s school, and any other way like through CFS that disconnection of family, but also remembering that we can come together and build those connections from our community as well in these workshops. And I'm gonna give it to my first granddaughter. I don't have a granddaughter yet. I have 3 grandsons, so I'm planning to be that grandmother of a girl.
There was one important doll that we made was 2 years ago when they found that 215 children in Kamloops, and there was grandmothers that went there, and they said, you know, we're leaving on Monday, and they said on Friday, they said, you got 2 days to make a doll, and I was like, what? I stayed up till like 2, 3 in the morning sewing away at the doll, but I was very emotional, and I cried because we just found out about the 215 children, and I had these visions, and I was getting really tired, and I kept on hearing children, and then my head was kind of bopping, but I just kept sewing because I knew that this doll had to be done by morning, and I had these visions of these children playing with the doll and sharing it, and so that was the most special doll.
Draw with pencil on your egg. As soon as it dips in the acid, any other pencil marks are gone. Today we are working on doing etched pisanka at Osoraduk. Usually what a traditional pisanka workshop is, where you dip your eggs into dye and you use beeswax to color them. Etched pisanka is we do the opposite. So first you take your brown eggs, and then what you do is you cover it with your beeswax like you would normally. And then you dip it into muriatic acid. But in this case, we're using it to strip away a layer of the egg. And as you strip away the layer, it lightens the egg. So you can get a lighter brown color and sometimes another lighter brown color, and it goes almost all the way to white. And then after that, if you want, you can put some more beeswax on it after your layer and dip it into some color and give it a little splash. So we'll leave yours in for a little bit longer. I might take it out for one clean. Dipping them in the acid and watching the chemical reaction, the fizz, yeah, because these eggs actually fizz and bubble. And it's kind of seeing the expressions on people's faces when they do it for the first time, because it's different, it's unique. And I love afterwards when you actually touch the shells, you can feel the bumps to it. It's not just painted on, you can feel the layers of the shell. The symbolism on pisanka, the different things stand for different things. So we have things like ladders on there, and you'll find hatching and wheat and stars, and all of that has different symbolisms for Ukrainians. Some people like to put them in their baskets and decorate up their baskets to take to church and have them blessed. A lot of people like to put them on displays. And nowadays you can actually blow them out, and some people use them as Christmas ornaments, and we just kind of have them out and around.
Going in for dinner number 2.
Today I am making a Ukrainian Easter egg. Never done anything like this before, so this is the second layer of color, and just kind of made my own design, not traditional in any shape or form, but it's really neat. When you see traditional Ukrainian Easter eggs, there's a lot of detail and very fine lines, but I think that if you can just relax and not worry about perfection, you can have a good time and walk away with something that's your own, that you can have for a number of years.
Feels very Eastery this year, and so we have a very nice turnout, and it's great to see. And if you're looking for something different to do instead of the traditional eggs, because you've been there, done that, doing etched is actually just kind of that very interesting next step. But if you actually bump it with the
Introduce yourself.
Okay, hi, I'm Cheryl. I'm 16. I'm currently a member of the Manitoba provincial team. Recently, I went to the Canada Winter Games and I was glad to get a silver medal for Manitoba. There's 3 styles of fencing. There are different weights, different target area, and for épée, it's the heaviest weapon. And for the target area, it's from the head to toe, helmet, everything. You can hit everything. But for saber, it's just this area, which is the upper body. Where you can see there's a lame here. It's just the upper body, just the arms and the body. For foil, it would just be the vest, so it's just cover the body part but doesn't cover the arms. In order for you to get a point, you would just hit any target area from head to toe, and if the light comes up, then you get the point.
Pull this out.
And then you have to plug this in. There you go, and then you plug this in as well. The 2 fingers will be, the thumb will be here.
Like this? I'm ready. Okay.
Helmet,
yeah.
Basically, your chin will go in first.
My name is Ayash Bunachada. I'm the provincial coach in Manitoba. I competed internationally with the Algerian national team, and then I went to get my coaching education. I became a coach. I coached the Algerian team, and then from Algeria I moved to Canada 25 years ago, and then I'm coaching for Manitoba and for Canada as well.
And since I can whip a little bit, right?
Yes, you can, but it's risky.
Okay, so you don't want to go too much.
You try to avoid. If you can avoid, you have good legs, you are a boxer, make him short, and then you go. This is the best strategy.
Okay. Holy smoke.
This is another way.
Is that what I'm doing there? Right?
Yeah, you've got 3 points. You saw it, when you hit, you get a point. If both of you hit at the same time, both of you get points. In saber, it has rules. It's a conventional weapon. If you attack and your opponent is not attacking, is trying to hit you, doing counter attack, the point is for the one who is attacking. When you attack, you have priority. To get the priority back, to get it, you have to take the weapon or to defend yourself and hit your opponents. This is how it works. If both of you attack, both of you, no points. There is no point. If one attack first, get the points because he has the priority. Yes, like that. It's his attack.
Yeah.
Maybe the busiest place in town on a Saturday night.
I'm just here to enjoy and hoping for the best.
The championship of Steinbach's only basketball league.
If they're going to beat us on anything, it's the little things. It's the boxing.
This was a basketball league made for Filipinos by Filipinos. But over time, they noticed how many other ballers in the Steinbach area had no competitive place to play. So this past winter, they opened up their league to everyone.
The Filipinos, ever since we moved here, we've been welcomed with open arms by people who are from here locally, and we want to, give back to that. We don't want to be exclusive. We want to be inclusive, right?
Alex Thiessen wanted to play for a while.
I've asked, countless times for from different teams.
He says it's all thanks to the growing number of Filipinos moving to Steinbach. There's 1,500 Filipinos in a city of nearly 18,000 people.
There's almost no chance that there would be men's league at all if it wasn't for that.
So now that the league has opened up to non-Filipinos, Keeson's wife can cheer on her husband.
As a Filipino, I always wanted to see other other culture as well, other colors to play basketball. And in Southeast, they're always big on basketball as well.
Non-Filipino players used to drive into Winnipeg to play in leagues, but now they don't have to. This Steinbach league brings in the crowds.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, they're packing gyms. This is crazy. Huge for Steinbach basketball.
Raymond Kelly is playing basketball again because of this league.
I'm going to be playing against a lot of guys that I grew up playing against, and I think it's great for men, that are once they transition out of high school to stay active and to stay involved in the community.
Commissioner Abram Razan only sees the sport growing from here. For the first time, they'll have a spring league and a division for women.
You can never have too much basketball.
He's already training for the spring.
Sadly, Filipinos, we could use a little bit of height, so we lost in the quarterfinals. But we'll be joining the spring league again with the same team. We'll be running it back, and hopefully we could get some more wins and go deeper into the playoffs.
For Filipinos and non-Filipinos alike, this league has proven to be a slam dunk. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Steinbach, Manitoba.
Gladys Wheeler just had her 99th birthday, and all of the celebrations kind of got in the way of her crocheting.
I can't wait to sit and do this. I'm doing it at 2 o'clock in the mornings.
When she's not so busy, she makes up to 12 cat blankets per month and donates them to the Winnipeg Humane Society.
Once they get a mat, that's theirs. And
a satellite adoption location for the Humane Society. Assistant store manager Kai Watts says Wheeler has donated more than 1,000 blankets.
So when we first get our cats in with the Humane Society, we kind of test their personality, see how they are, and we pick a blanket based on how we think would suit best with them.
This brown tabby, named Canel, is just waiting to be adopted. She got a warm-colored blanket to match her warm personality.
As soon as you put one of the blankets on their bed, they immediately just go and start kneading on it.
The cats love them, and Wheeler can't stop making them. It's the perfect match. Janelle Henry, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Thank you for watching the CBC Manitoba YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For the latest breaking news and top stories, download the CBC News app.
6 seconds to shoot for Belanger. Takes the three, buries it.
Robin Belanger plays guard for the University of Winnipeg Westman. She's been practicing on this court since starting grade 9 at the UW Collegiate. Her game day tradition, she smudges with sage and puts cedar in her shoes.
As soon as I'm starting a game, I'm ready to, put it all out there on the floor, and I'm ready to adjust what my team needs.
Belanger, a deep three. They need it, they get it.
Alyssa Cox is the women's basketball coach. She's watched her grow and develop over these last 10 years.
She's always been a student of the game. She's always been a very smart player.
Today, she's the team captain. Cox says she leads by example.
She really was somebody who was counted on for her shooting ability and her scoring. And then as she's gotten further into her career, she's just developed kind of all aspects of her game.
Belanger's always been a role model to her teammates. Anna Kernahan is in her second year, but she played with the captain even before making the Westman.
She's always been a great leader, very vocal, even when I was younger, and she was kind of like the mentor at our club team. So she was always really encouraging to all the younger players.
This year, Belanger has been focusing on changing her stats. Out of points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, her favorite thing to do is steal the ball.
If you asked me in my first 4 years, I would have been like threes, but You know, I like the feeling of stealing the ball from someone. It's kind of like a little kid, like I'm stealing something from them.
This weekend is seniors night and Belanger's last home game as a Westman. She says she's ready to get out and try something new.
I've achieved the goals that I wanted to achieve up to this point, and I'm more motivated than ever to achieve the goals that I have planned forward.
Next, she will be applying to do her master's in Indigenous education. And she says playing professional basketball overseas is definitely a possibility for her. Janelle Henry, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Hi, I'm Corby Pierce. This is Winterscape. This is our first international ice carving competition here in Winnipeg. A long time coming in our mind, and we've been at it for a good solid year trying to get it all together, and it's finally happening, and we're bringing these amazing ice sculptors and their work to the city for the first time.
So what are you doing there?
Just rounding off, smoothing out. We want a nice finished product, so you get a lot of chisel marks and chainsaw marks. We'll use fire to smooth it all out. Victor has a technique of using a wet rag with warm water just to smooth it all out and get rid of all the little lines. And in the end, you end up with just crystal clear ice.
I'm Brad Frelick from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
I'm Victor Dagentan from Orlando, Florida.
Orlando, Florida. I hear you're also from the Philippines.
Yes, I am.
When I hear ice sculpture, Winnipeg, okay, I get, but Philippines ice, come on, man. I'm Filipino.
We have a lot of ice in the Philippines, right?
Tell me a little bit about what you guys made here and the concept here, because this is beautiful.
She's what's called archery?
Yeah.
And she's an hunter, and then we start to figure out how to make it all together with ice, and it's still fragile, but works all together.
You know, we started here Friday.
Yeah.
And just started cutting some blocks and figuring it all out. Our templates, the wind was so bad, Victor does templates for everything, and we stick it to the ice so that we have proper lines to follow, but the templates blew away, so Victor had to freehand everything.
My name is Niels Brouwers. I'm here with my teammate Thomas Wijnberg. We're from the Netherlands.
You're from the Netherlands. You're all the way here in Winnipeg, cold.
Yeah, it's great air. It's we cross Atlantic to go here, right? So it's great atmosphere with the other carvers, and there's great ice because you pull the ice from the river, right? We don't have that in the Netherlands, so we get over here.
So our ice is good?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your piece behind us?
Well, it's we made like a battle between the phoenix and the snake. So the phoenix trying to get away from his fire, and the snake just grabbed him by the tail and just trying to pull him down. They're fighting it out until one of them collapses, I guess.
Just incredible workmanship. I love that it's international. Just shows how much creativity there is throughout the world. Just love it.
And what's your reaction?
I'd say the same thing. I didn't know this was going on here, and I'm incredibly impressed to see people from all over the world come to Winnipeg and build these sculptures. It's really taking advantage of our natural landscape here in a really creative way.
What do you think of all the ice sculptures?
Good.
Take a look at this rock. It's pretty cool. It was actually painted by someone and left here at this healing garden on Leela Avenue in Winnipeg. Now, if you ever need a pick-me-up, and who doesn't, you should come check it out. One woman has set up this healing garden right in front of her home.
One of the ladies, when I first built the garden, she was saying, oh, it'd be great if people could just write their messages on the garden or on the rocks. And so I go, hey, I can do that. Really started because of COVID. We got told that it was at the very beginning, right where they started sending us home, and there was like no certainty. We had no idea what was going on. We'd never been through this before. I'm one of those people that if there's something going on that I'm having a hard time processing or I'm upset about something, I always try and do something nice for someone else. Stopped at the Dollarama, and there were these huge emoji heads, like they were bouncing balls inside, but it was like this fuzzy stuff, emojis with all the different facial expressions, and I'm like, okay, these are going to be what I'm using. I thought, oh, well, I'll start putting some of my kindness rocks in here. And so I put some kindness rocks around the bottom. I've always painted rocks since about 2018 when I found one, like the Winnipeg rocks. You may have heard of them. They folks paint rocks, hide them, and then people find them and cheer them up. So 2018, I found my first one, and I was hooked after that. You know, for the first summer, you'd see everybody go by, and there was especially this couple that older couple, and they would stop, and I wish I had something for him to sit down for the older gentleman.
What do you think of it?
That's good. Yeah, my daughter love it. The granddaughter. Yeah.
It sounds like it really makes people happy.
Yeah.
It's just evolved over time, but I can't tell you how amazing it is to just kind of peek outside and just at the right moment to see a family there and watch the kids going block to block to block to block. So we added some of these footsteps.
You were saying that you picked up some blocks and then you painted them yellow, and you've got this kind of surrounding the tree that's here in front of your house.
Yeah, yes, because it's the boulevard and it gets pretty muddy, and I've been trying to grow grass, and that's going to be my end goal, is to get some grass here.
What is it about this type of healing garden?
It's the connection, right? You can say or paint anything you want on a rock. Well, sit down, do a rock. It's therapy. It's almost like an emotional healing therapy. And so then it's even more fun that you've made these rocks, and if you choose to go in the parks and hide them, someone's gonna find it and it's gonna make their day that much better.
Inuit Saunaganit, Art Against Time, is a collection of nearly 400 pieces produced by artists from Canada, Siberia, Alaska, and Greenland. The exhibit opens tomorrow night with a free celebration and runs through to January. CBC videographer Tyson Koschuk checked it out.
So my name is Jocelyn Piernan, and I am one of the co-curators of this exhibition. This exhibition is titled Inuit Saunaganit, Art Across Time, and it's an expansive show by Inuit artists from across the circumpolar north. It really is telling Inuit history, Inuit culture, what Inuit have been making for millennia.
I'm Darlene Coward-White, and I'm the curator of Inuit art here at the Winnipeg Art Gallery. I'm very excited to be able to have these pieces in the exhibition. They are from the Ukvik Old Bering Sea 1 period in Alaska. Well, these pieces date from about 200 BC. The designs are so simple, and these are ivory. This is actually a pregnant figure, this little one here. And it would have probably been used as an amulet to protect perhaps a pregnant woman. And it's so fortunate that these were preserved in the permafrost, and have been excavated just really in the last 60, 70 years.
For Inuit, the tradition of storytelling is really important. And you can see that within the pieces themselves.
The styles are different, actually. The stones are different, the styles are different. Some communities are very more abstract. It's really interesting just to see the variations, the variety. It's not a stereotypical, the seals and bears that you see in airport gift shops.
What's interesting about this show too is that it does cover a lot of different geographies. Within that, you do get to see that diversity of the cultures, of how Inuit have lived in Greenland or Siberia. These are a set of what are called tupalacs, and these are figures that were normally carved out of walrus tooth. They were figures that were used to kind of instill a lot of fear into their foes, into their enemies. Again, that grotesque mouths and eyes and teeth that are coming out of them.
Well, this is by an artist from Arctic Bay at the north end of Baffin Island, actually. His name is Manasi Akpeliapik. He is showing a shaman in the center with his helping spirits. We've got owls and ancestors. It's really an amazing piece, the way he's used the natural shapes of the bone with some of the vertebrae, the way he's integrated all the different elements, the animals and the ancestors and all the spirits that would help the shaman do his work.
I hope that for Inuit who come to see this, they can take away what their ancestors had gone through. And also, by studying these, you get a sense of then how to make your own and be inspired by it.
What we are having is a big celebration of the Chinese Lantern Festival. The Chinese Lantern Festival falls on the 15th day of the first lunar month. So this marks the last day of the Chinese New Year celebration. And we celebrate this day by having special food. We also do, performances. All the families eat dinner together, and we do lots of activities like paper cutting. It's so important for the community to come together to celebrate because of the pandemic. The past 3 years, people didn't have a lot of opportunities to see each other face to face, to get together, and we did lots of online virtual webinars, celebrations, events, but this is kind of our first in-person celebration. So we're just thrilled to see so many people here, and it really shows, the strong community that we have. This is a sold-out event, so it's just amazing.
Nelson Sanderson has lived on Harbiston Avenue West for 25 years. He sees lots of kids walking across the narrow street.
They'll have maybe 3 or 4 little ones, and like sometimes you get nervous even them crossing the street.
He often sees cars speeding down Harbiston. That's why he supports a proposal to lower the speed limit from 50 to 30.
No, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
For the sakes of all the children and older people like myself.
Down the street, Melissa Epp also supports the idea.
It's kind of nice because I have 2 kids, so I feel a lot safer with them wandering around.
Yeah,
if someone were to sneak off.
The city has chosen 27 street sections for the reduced speeds. In 2021, the city piloted reduced speeds on 4 streets that are part of the cycling network. Now the city wants to expand the project in order to make more streets safer for cyclists.
We don't have room in a lot of areas to put separated bike paths in. We just don't. So what we have to do is we have to look at the existing infrastructure, and we have to look at traffic calming options on the existing infrastructure.
The proposal to reduce speeds on cycling routes comes as the city is trying out lowering speeds on all residential streets in 4 neighborhoods, including here in Borkvale. This advocate is excited to see the city moving ahead with lowering speeds.
We've dedicated an awful lot of space in Winnipeg for people to drive cars, and we would just like for all users to have the opportunity to be able to access our communities in a way that's comfortable for them. So I think this is definitely a good step in that direction.
The city will start by reducing speeds on 10 streets, including this street here, Harbiston Avenue West. The reduced speeds will go into effect sometime later this spring. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Marilyn Reddicoff, 80 years young. Unbelievable. I owe you for paving the way for women's volleyball in Manitoba. It's a sport I've loved my whole life. What do you love about it?
Oh, what do I love about volleyball? Well, it's just a great game. And I just love being able to share it with friends of mine. That was the second year that university had a phys ed program. So I already always wanted to do phys ed. And so I got accepted to play volleyball.
How successful were you guys?
We won the Canadian Championship 3 years in a row.
Wow.
And then in the first Winter Games, our team won the Junior Championship. We even have a City of Winnipeg ring. I wrapped volleyball, and I was the first female official to officiate at an international volleyball competition.
Oh my goodness, first international women referee, it's incredible, you know what I mean? It's inspired me to, I referee now, and the only reason I referee in Winnipeg is because she refereed, and it's just, you know, we need more women, we need more young women, and she's just such an inspiration.
This is Cameron DeGroot. She is my granddaughter.
I was supposed to come to University of Manitoba in 2020 when I graduated, and she said, Cameron, you have to play on our team, and I thought, oh, tier 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, I'm thinking, I don't know. But, and I didn't know how busy I'd be, but I'm so thankful that she was persistent. When I came here this year, she hands me a jersey and she says, our first game is on Tuesday. And I thought, oh, what am I getting myself into? But it's just been a blast. It's been so fun. I would not change it for the world.
My fingers were strong, just because as a young kid, I was playing piano a lot. And you know, both hands are working. So you're not like, oh, one hand is stronger than the other, because in piano, it's good, eh? You have ambidextrous. First of all, it keeps me active, gives me some activity, because I'm not a workout kind of person. I love a game. So you have to have the game, right? Has to be the game. And one of the real neat things is that every one of our grandkids have played volleyball. Every one of them, and we have 7. And they're all involved in volleyball, and we get to watch them, and I still know the game, right, which is great.
How many more years do you think you're going to play?
Oh, I think as long as I can. As long as I surround myself with lovely, young, talented people. What else would I do then? Sit and do nothing? Crochet? No.
Oh, whatever. I've never seen you crochet in your life.
Yeah, making you work here a little further. Sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry. You want to come play? We got a position on my team.
Okay. Oh, I got a good team.
Oh, awesome.
Do you share any of your passwords with people?
Of course I do. Everybody does.
How do you feel about Netflix, you know, cracking down on password sharing in Canada?
It almost seems like they're trying to ruin their own business model, because they tweeted password, like sharing your password is love, and now they're going back on it. It's kind of weird, but is what it is, I suppose. I'm probably going to unsubscribe to Netflix. I don't see a reason to keep it. There's so many competitors out there at cheaper prices, shared with everyone, you know, it's easier to do it that way.
Netflix is cracking down on password sharing in Canada. How do you feel about that?
No, not the best. I don't know. It's like, what am I gonna do now? I watch everything on Netflix. Sharing is caring, so.
Would you then go and pay for Netflix afterwards?
Absolutely not. No. No. Probably use like an illegal website or something.
All my friends use my streaming services, so I actually don't even know who uses it. So for me, I'm more cool for it. I don't mind if I can let other person, you know, enjoy it, you know. Because I don't have the time to watch those things, my siblings use it, so why not share it with people if they enjoy the same things I enjoy?
But now that they're cracking down, they won't be able to do that. Are you, does that affect you at all?
Personally, like for my siblings, yes. But for other strangers who are using it, then it's not good. If it's like that, then I'll probably not use the services. Then why? Because then I want to watch with my friends Netflix. I want to be able to have a conversation. Oh, did you watch this show? Did you watch this show? You know, have something common. But if it's only by myself, then what's the point?
Do you consider it stealing when you share passwords?
Not if it's not illegal.
I mean, if you know that person, no.
No, it is not.
Hi, my name is Anna Simbana, and today I'm learning how to skate.
Hi, my name is Charlie, and I teach the newcomer skate program for the West End Biz. So we'll just go over a few basic pointers. I think it's really important for people who are moving into such a cold city to learn how to skate and enjoy those different aspects of Winnipeg.
I'm going to fall or something, but it's okay, they are great.
Pick whatever foot you feel comfortable, 2 hands on one knee, and up into a standing position.
My first thought was like, I am afraid to fall, I am afraid to hurt myself, but right now I think it's getting better.
Most of the times it's the courage to actually skate that is the hardest part.
My name is Amjad Haddad. I'm a newcomer here. Today I'm trying to skate here. It's amazing sport, yeah, and it's hard. Hard to do it. My name is Wajdi Haddad. We are from Syria. In Syria, we don't have a lot of snow and ice. When we coming to Winnipeg and watch on TV the match of Jets, yeah, we like how to skate, and it's a hard match, and we looking for someone who teach us the skating.
They are great instructors. They are the best.
And a lot of them use these skills to take their kids skating. So a lot of them have young kids and they want to be able to, you know, go skating with their kids or go on the river at the Forks with their kids. So this gives them those skills so they can do that.
It's coming very naturally to you, I think.
A former pro basketball player from Winnipeg is now highlighting his Nigerian roots in a company he co-owns. CBC's Marjorie Dowhouse met up with Ogo Okumabwa to learn more about athleisure wear company Zweke Inc.
Hi, my name is Ogo Okumabwa, and I'm a co-founder of Zweke. We sell premium athleisure clothing. My partner and I, Brian Salvador, came up with the idea and vision of athleisure clothing. I mean, it's something we both are from athletic backgrounds, and we're really excited about kind of thinking, what were the best moments of, you know, being an athlete? And some people would say, hey, the sports, but it was actually, a lot of times it was the gear. Zweke means to relax, and it's from our dialect, Igbo dialect. We're both of Nigerian descent. So we decided, hey, you know what, let's call it something a little, pay homage to back home, and also, you know, it's a unique kind of starting point to talk about relaxation.
What does it mean to you to be able to incorporate that into your business?
I think it's you know, I don't think I would have done it when I was younger, but I think as you get older, you start to really tie into, my name is Ogo Okumabwa. I mean, my parents came from Nigeria. They had their kids. I'm grown up as a Canadian, but they've always, my name still connects me back to you know, my roots in Nigeria. And I think it's just great to kind of pay homage to, you know, where their work and testament, this is a little bit of their legacy, not just, you know, me trying to start my own, but just being able to say, hey, you know what, this is my home. I'm proud of where I'm from. And when you're younger, sometimes you don't appreciate that type of stuff. But as you kind of get older and comfortable with yourself, you start to be like, yeah, you know what, that is something that's very important to me, and I think I'm to be proud of.
Ogo, tell us about the hoodies that you have here.
Okay, so this is our special collection. We get every year we kind of do a special design that comes out during Black History Month, and we kind of talk a little bit about some of the different things. As you can kind of see, let me spray out this guy over here. We have some of the previous designs that we did kind of encapsulated in our badge. We have Patrice Lumumba, which was a great African leader over here. Winnipeg Buffaloes, and this was actually a baseball team before the Gold Eyes that was located here in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
February is Black History Month.
You bet.
What does it mean to you?
I mean, it's a neat question because I think it's every day of my life, right? So it's not necessarily a thing that I think, hey, you got February to celebrate Black history. I mean, I believe that it should be a normalized thing that's every day, every part of the year. I think it's also important, though, in terms of because it's not talked about so regularly, it's not part of curriculums, it's not part of everyday life. I think other cultures and other things, I think it's important just to have that infusion as a regular thing, so it doesn't have to become this unique novelty of a month that we only celebrate it. If you really want to learn about Black history, go and check out, you can get books, you can go to libraries, you can go online, there's a million different venues that you can really, if you're really interested in doing it, but also, hey, you know what, if you also get some of it just organically through talking through different people, I'm Black and I'm learning stuff about Black history every year, all the time, and it's not, it's not something that, hey, just because I'm Black, I know everything about Black history, I'm learning just like anybody else would naturally, right? Our Check on the Strong Ones campaign. We take proceeds from this shirt, also go to helping mental health kind of situations. We're about community building. We want to continue to see our community grow as we grow with it, and that's kind of why we've picked out a lot of different partnerships that are near and dear to our heart, and we've just love to see our kind of community growing.
Oh, the dreaded Valentine's Day. For some, it's like a rom-com fantasy, but for others, it's just another day. Okay, that might sound a little cold-hearted, but you're not alone. Wood frogs also spend the day of love, a little bit frozen and probably hiding under the snow right now. These are wood frogs. They can be found in the prairies, and they have a very interesting trait. In the winter, they freeze completely, including their hearts.
Well, wood frogs are a really interesting species. When we think of animals that live outside here, right, most of them try to avoid the cold, and they go into deep burrows, or in some cases they actually go under the water and overwinter in the water. Wood frogs don't do that. They actually leave the water in the fall prior to hibernation, and they go underneath the leaf litter, and they try to find a nice cozy place that's going to stay above zero all winter long. So wood frogs are very unusual. They not only embrace the freezing, but they control it. So they allow some parts of their bodies to freeze solid, and that's all of the fluid outside of individual cells, including the blood vessels are frozen solid. But what they do is they're able to keep their cells themselves in a liquid state. Their heart starts pumping, their blood is solid, their brain go flatline as well, there's no brain waves.
Campbell says the process can only happen because the wood frog stores sugar in their bloodstream, which keeps them alive.
When they do add all these sugars, and then the sugar molecules basically then will get released back into the blood and probably go back into the liver and be stored, and then in the spring they'll use that sugar store mostly for energy. It's a frozen heart, but it's a sweetheart. And when it thaws, again, all of that love, all of that sugar is released into the bloodstream.
So if your heart doesn't skip a beat for Valentine's Day, don't worry. You're probably still like a wood frog and a total sweetheart. Fiona Odlum, CBC News, Winnipeg. Polar bears sit at the top of the Arctic food chain, and their diet has been well documented. But now scientists are researching a hungry little carnivore about the size of my hand, sea stars. And can you imagine something as small as this taking down something as big as that?
They look pretty simple, and we always see sea stars as maybe more herbivores or they're eating more plants and more simple organisms, but it's a lot more complex than that.
Sea stars are from the starfish family, and it's believed they can eat as much or if not more, than a polar bear. And they've even been known to consume an entire polar bear carcass, making them a top predator in the Arctic Ocean of Hudson Bay.
They walk along with their arms on the seafloor, scouring for prey with active predation, but also scavenging on some of the marine mammals.
Yurkowski's part of a research team learning more about these relatively unstudied bottom feeders. And what they've learned is there's a vital nutrient in the sea ice that plays a key role for both polar bears and sea stars' survival.
Sea ice environment, you have little liquid areas inside the sea ice that provide the habitat for the algae to grow.
Ice algae is only available for about 6 weeks a year. And in those weeks, marine mammals eat as much as they can because it's full of important nutrients. Those nutrients are then passed on to the polar bears and sea stars when they consume their prey. But climate change is impacting the thickness of the ice and timing of this critical food cycle.
The idea that these sort of subwebs, the food web that exists at the bottom of the ocean and the food web that exists in the water column, they're very complex on their own right, but they're also intertwined together, sort of intimately linked to form one whole food web in the marine system.
Mundy says in his 25 years studying the North, he's already seen sea ice thickness significantly decline.
When we first started going up there, I would drill through the ice and it would be over 2 meters thick. That was the typical thing we'd see year after year. And now, you know, it's hard to find ice that's over 1.5 meters thick.
And this is why the team believe much more research needs to be done.
It's a unique time to provide some base data or kind of how the system is now that we can model with changes in sea ice or warming temperatures how the food web may look into the future.
Yurkowski and Mundy may not be able to predict the future, but they want to be able to shine a light on these sea stars before it's too late. Fiona Odlum, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Here in Manitoba, winter just seems to not want to let go.
Oh my God, when is it ever going to end?
I hate snow. Does this look like springtime to you?
No.
As southern Manitoba prepares for a Colorado low.
A Colorado low brings hazardous winter weather lasting for several days.
That will bring us 15 to 25 centimeters of snow. We're going to take a look at how this spring measures up against Manitoba's worst springs with the help of the senior climatologist at Environment Canada.
Worst spring ever.
We are expecting a lot of snow today, but how does that compare to?
You know, I think we've known Colorado lows for a long time, but I think it was that one, Joanne, that really struck fear in the hearts of Manitobans because it really brought, it was like 4 days. It began on the 4th of April and went right through to the 8th or to the 7th. And we had, in fact, I think in total, about 48 centimeters of snow.
48 centimeters in 1997 versus up to 25 today. All right, well, I guess 1997 wins the snowiest spring. But what about the coldest spring?
Boy, 1996 was a much colder spring. That March that year had, there were over half the days were below minus 20.
Around 7 days in 1996 to 6 days this year. Well, I would call this one a tie. But what about the wettest spring?
And then we got to March, April, May. That spring was 3.5 times the amount of precipitation you normally would get in the springtime. And you had, of course, it resulted in flooding, not just in the Red River, but every river in Manitoba.
So it's a little too soon to tell, but it doesn't look like it's going to be that wet outside this year. So verdict, this year's looking pretty good. But have you heard of Manitoba's most bizarre spring?
There were spring dust storms. They called them black blizzards on the prairies. But on that day, it was actually at noon in Winnipeg. It was like midnight. You couldn't see anything. You couldn't see the street lights. Birds returned to their nests. Women walking along Portage Avenue were caked in mud.
Now that we have better soil management, the dust storms that were popular through the 1930s aren't really an issue today. And I think that's a good thing because I don't know about you, but I would take a snowstorm over a dust storm any day. Verdict, we have nothing over the 1930s. We've seen some pretty intense storms here in Manitoba, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this one is not going to be a record-breaking year.
Reggae music and Jamaican-style meat patties. Neville Hamilton is bringing a new vibe to a Mennonite community.
Had some spice, if you want to say that, to Steinbach.
What outsiders say about Steinbach isn't always kind. It's vilified as being too white, socially conservative, anti-gay, and closed off. No place for a black man from Jamaica.
When I tell them I'm from Steinbach, they're like, "You're from Steinbach? What are you doing in Steinbach?" I mean, they think that Steinbach is a community that doesn't invite or welcome people.
Andrew Unger is used to hearing these assumptions. In fact, poking fun at Steinbach is his specialty. He writes Mennonite satire for a popular website now called the Unger Review.
Conservative Mennonite Church approves drinking Bud Light since it's not really beer anyway.
Unger says the city's changing faster than strangers may realize.
Believe it or not, there's individual people in Steinbach that are very progressive or want to see changes in Steinbach and are working hard towards those things. The community as a whole probably changes slower than other places, but it is still changing. That's undeniable, I think.
In the last 20 years, the southeastern Manitoba city has seen its population double. 18,000 people call Steinbach home. More than 1/5 of residents are immigrants.
But I do believe the general movement is to be more accepting, is to be more caring and loving and embracing newcomers. If that wasn't happening, then we wouldn't be having the amount of newcomers we're having.
Earl Funk is Steinbach's mayor. He also owns a butcher shop.
I do what I can to portray the Steinbach I know, right?
Take this anti-mask rally from late 2020. Funk says that same day, something else happened. $7,000 was raised for healthcare workers.
That was the real Steinbach, and that came through loud and strong and clear with the donations that were given.
Funk believes faith can still play a role, even as the city becomes increasingly secular. Building relationships is at the heart of it.
It's not so difficult. It's so simple that what we do every day can be our worship.
But what about those who aren't religious? Gary Martins is a member of the Eastman Humanist community. He's a minority in a majority religious city.
I am a little bit uncomfortable in talking about this, but I know that there's a big enough community out there that is going to still engage with me, even though they know I have my doubts about faith.
While he says being assertive in Steinbach about one's differences can cause tensions, Martins enjoys living here.
And I really love it. I can walk to a grocery store, I can walk to a church, I can walk to a drugstore, to a bar.
The city's been nothing but good to Han Rempel. Now a pharmacy owner, her family was among the hundreds of thousands of refugees, known as boat people, who fled Vietnam starting in the 1970s.
I don't have a lot of those memories. I was quite young, but just talking to my parents, it was basically they felt like they had no choice.
It brings to mind what Ukrainians fleeing the war in their country are going through. It motivated her family's decision to sponsor a Ukrainian family here in Steinbach.
They have a little girl that's 6 years old, and that was how old I was when I came here. So yeah, in many ways it has been full circle.
That's the Steinbach people here want to portray. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Steinbach, Manitoba.
Well, if you've been seeing lots of students around the convention center downtown, here's why. More than 500 students and apprentices from across the country descended on the RBC Convention Center this week to go head-to-head in 45 skilled trade and technology competitions. The Skills Canada National Competition offered tradespeople a chance to show their skills in everything from bricklaying to baking. About 12,000 student visitors came out to learn what their futures could look like with a career in the trades.
So the event is around trying to raise awareness of skilled trade and technology occupations, trying to do that through experiential learning. We have thousands of students. We'll have over 13,000 students that are here over the 2 days that will be able to participate in trade and technology activities, so they get a chance to work with tools and materials and learn a little bit more about the occupations. Then we have a couple new initiatives this year. Our Women in Trade Space, where people can go down and talk to women that are tradespeople, that are working in the industry, learn a little bit about what their journey was and what some of the opportunities are in skilled trades.
It's the best decision I've ever made. Like, I didn't know what to do for like a job after high school, and then someone said I should do electrical, and I've loved it, so just kind of go for it, I guess. It's very physical, like you don't have to like sit at a desk ever, I guess, unless you're a foreman, you're printing out stuff. It's a lot of thinking on the job, like opposed to other trades. I don't want to put them down or anything, like all that stuff, but there's a lot of math, there's a lot of science, there's a lot of code they have to think about constantly, like it's pretty complicated, so I don't know, I like that you have to think.
So anything that is using new technology is really interesting, and we're starting to see more of that in skilled trade areas, that technology is a more important element in what they're doing. We also are hearing from young people that they're really interested in climate goals and climate change, and how do skilled trades, how can they participate in skilled trades in a responsible way using more green technology and green tools to build greener structures and have greener processes.
Winnipeg's one of Canada's most diverse cities, and that diversity continues to grow. In the city of about 835,000, 31% of Winnipeggers are ethnoculturally diverse, 12% are Indigenous, and 51% are female. So why does the city's police force look like this? There is parity with Indigenous officers, who make up 12% of the force, but just 8.6% of Winnipeg police officers are racialized, and only 16.2% are women. So why is that a problem? University of Manitoba criminologist Frank Cormier says to keep Winnipeggers safe, the WPS needs more officers who aren't male and white.
The person who responds is someone who can understand the person that they're trying to help. Because they have a shared lived experience, they're going to be far more effective in trying to help that person. Less likely to misunderstand or misapprehend what the situation is, and perhaps act in a way that is not warranted.
Constable Dale McDonald started back in 1994, and she was only the second Black female police officer in Winnipeg history, and she often ran into sexism on the job.
If it was a male that had called and wants to report something, he would literally look over my shoulder and talk to my male partner, and my partner would be like, "She's taking your report." Okay, but then he would still look over my shoulder and talk to the partner. So there is still a little bit of that, but I think that's changed.
McDonald now works on the diversity unit, doing community outreach and visiting schools. She says seeing a Black female cop can help people from diverse communities open up.
Someone who looks like me said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?" I think just seeing that representation, they felt more comfortable to come talk to me about an issue, and then we were able to discuss it together and try to find a solution.
McDonald says only about 4 or 5 cops in the city are Black women, a tiny fraction of its 1,355 officers. Winnipeg police are holding workshops this spring to attract more racialized and female recruits. They launched a new mentoring unit last year, helping candidates with things like resume writing and the physical abilities test. Cormier says not having more diversity on the force could have dire consequences.
The least damage. It's that our police just aren't very good at what we want them to do. The worst case is that we start to end up in a situation that looks more like the United States, where people are dying, lives are being lost, innocent people are being killed simply because our police services are not well enough informed and are not reflective of the populations that they serve.
Bacon, onions, and mushrooms, getting ready for the burgers, getting it prepped, and then gonna start putting the burgers on once we get some room here, and then gonna eat.
It's kind of been a week-long kind of planning and organization, and now kind of going with the whole burger on the flat top and beers and kind of the whole atmosphere for getting the game going.
The bacon looks yummy, Stan.
Oh yeah.
It's very enjoyable. We have a great time doing it with all the friends that we have together, and it's just a great camaraderie is awesome.
Very important to me. We've done it since the new stadium has opened, and the camaraderie and the friends come and people we don't even know join us and that, and we feed them and we give them some beverages. 7-Up, Coke, and Pepsi, of course. We don't drink at all here.
Well, this is my first tailgate party, to be honest. So I've never been to a tailgate party here, and this is so far I'm loving this. This is going to be the Bomber event. So yeah, I'll definitely do this every time.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, we're always excited to go. My family and me have been a big fan of the Bombers for a long time, kind of generations to generation. So it's always home opener is always a fun day.
All the tailgates, all Grey Cups, been coming to Grey Cups since 1979.
It just pumps you up, and you get to talk to other people, because when you're in the game, you're busy cheering and stuff. Go Blue!
So I've been thinking that maybe I should get a bike. I've been a bit of a pandemic potato, maybe you have as well, but it dawned on me that it's been so many years I don't know how to get fit for a bike. So today we have someone that's gonna help us. This is Brett Zagazewski. Hello.
Hello, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having us here. So Brett's the owner of Bikes and Beyond here in Elmwood on Henderson Highway. And you claim that you can fit me for a bike, and there's really 3 main things that people should understand about that, right?
Yeah. Kind of 3 key areas that we like to look at when we're getting people on their bike is their feet, the seat, and their hands.
Okay.
Bikes can be kind of tailored for the individual, so we're not all stuck riding the same bike.
Yep.
Because we're all different. So bikes, like I mentioned, come in different sizes. So based off your height, we've kind of pre-selected a size. We've gone with the size small in this case. What we're really looking for with the feet, if people are using a shoe that clips into the pedal, so a little more higher performance pedal and shoe.
That's not me, I'm not high performance.
So with that, we're looking for good cleat positioning, so the foot's in the right spot. For a lot of people though, we're looking for, are they in good footwear? Some people end up pedaling on their heels. That's not great. You want your ball of the foot right over the pedal axle, so right where you are there. So we've kind of addressed the feet.
Yep.
Now we'll address the seat. Basic kind of starting point. We just kind of want to make the seat in around the hip level. And this is just as a very vague starting point. So now we'll just get you to stop with your pedal right at the bottom. We'll use this side here. We'll stop right there at the bottom. And then we'll get you to put so you can see here with your ball of the foot, you have a nice little bend in your knee.
Yep.
But if we were to move your heel onto the pedal.
Like this?
Right there.
Okay.
And have it at the bottom. Now we see the leg straighter.
Oh,
so that's kind of the other sort of rough measurement we can do for seat height. We'll get you now onto the handlebar. What we're looking for is from the center of the bike, where the bottom bracket, where the cranks go through the frame, is that when we come up, that it's just towards the bottom of your scapula.
Got it.
Yeah. If that center line was up in the front of the shoulder, then we're a little too far up,
Got
right?
it.
And then if it was way down by your spine, you're racing. What we're looking for is actually comfort. So if you go out and ride the bike and come back, say, my hands are going numb, I'm sliding around in my grip, there's definitely some changes we can make.
Is this little piece here that pops out, instead of being just cylindrical all the way down, it kind of angles out, and that helps me from sliding back and forth. It leaves my wrist in the right position.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for showing us this today and for bike. Thank you for the bike. I really appreciate it. I know I'm not taking the bike. Seriously, thank you. Good luck with your business.
Thank you so much.
A shot toward gold. 15 teams from across Canada are here for the National Aboriginal Hockey Championship. Off the ice, there's another goal too.
Hi there! We're the Coaches Association of Canada and
The Coaching Association of Canada is here to talk about its free mental health and sport resource hub. Eating disorders, anxiety, supporting players after concussion are just some of the topics. Sarah Min says the hub helps coaches get comfortable talking about their own mental health and have conversations with players too.
Everyone goes through a different journey and has a different experience, and I think a lot of times it's difficult to know how to navigate conversations and manage conflicts with athletes and just anyone who's in the sport. So we just believe that by empowering coaches and giving them the tools, that maybe they'll feel a little bit more educated and empowered to have those conversations.
Timothy Bear is in Winnipeg to watch his niece. He's coached hockey and has 4 kids who play, including twin daughters on a Division I NCAA team in Rochester, New York. He says education around mental health is huge.
It's a big part of hockey now, right? Because it's not just on the ice, it's off the ice too. You want these kids to be good citizens, good hockey players, have a good life after the game, right? So, like I said, mental health has grown a lot, and the awareness is, especially, what we're representing here, right?
Aboriginal Sports Circle owns the tournament and is one of the sponsors. They've partnered with the Coaches Association on this.
It's used as a hub and a resource for people within the community that play multiple roles, and especially with coaches in Indigenous communities and on reserve. They're not just coaches, right? They're teachers, they're counselors, they're sometimes bus drivers and chaperones to our athletes. So I think having more tools in their kit is always a better thing for them.
The association says they'll keep popping up at other sporting events in the coming months. As for this tournament, the gold medal games are on Saturday. Alana Cole, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Okay, bring it down a bit. Okay, keep going. There's one.
Well, I'm super excited to be here. I've never been ice fishing before, so this is a new chapter for me in Canada. I am here today with my students. I brought 8 newcomer students with me, and we tagged along with the Culture Credit crew and the staff, of course, to learn how to ice fish, most importantly, and also to enjoy these activities, outdoor activities.
We've been learning about our culture and what's so important about it and how it affects Indigenous people. I love it here. Yeah, it's a good experience for young people. Since I know more about culture, I want to get into it more.
No, I was with my dad on ordinary fishing for a lot of times in Ukraine on my little village where my grandma lived. I caught a lot of fishes and it was more warmer than here. The first I thought about, it is very, very cold, but it is very cool atmosphere here. A lot of my friends, Ukrainian friends here, and that I like it.
We're at Seven Oaks School Division. We have a program called Culture Credit where students get to reconnect with the land and a bunch of their fellow classmates, and we learn a little bit about Indigenous cultures and get different types of teaching experiences.
Never really done ice fishing like this in a while. Seems kind of fun, but I never really been fishing at all. This is probably my first time actually. If I get a fish, that'll be my first time getting a fish.
Oh, I think it's great. Like, you meet people, you know this culture and all the things. It's beautiful and fun and great. I like it. It's beautiful to know that I have a lot of people, Indigenous and all that.
I know that it is their territory, and we have to be grateful for them, so we use their territory and live here. Because we need to know where do we live, need to know history of these territories.
I've been trying to find ways, opportunities to bridge the gap between Indigenous students and newcomer students, and this is something I'm very passionate about. As you are aware, many newcomers who come to Canada sometimes don't know much about Indigenous people, the land, the struggles, the history of colonialism that happened here. So in doing activities like this and taking part of activities like this, I hope that Indigenous teachers, Indigenous students can work to help us understand why they are out here. First of all, what does the land mean to them, and for us to be part of the learning that they go under and become part of their journey as well.
I think it's very important for students to get out of the classroom and to experience learning opportunities like this, to reconnect and to learn about not only Manitoba and its history, but their culture, connections to fishing, hydro, and our history through that, and our fisheries. We also get to have opportunities to make offerings and talk about land acknowledgements and learning Indigenous perspectives. I think all of those things are very important, and in my experience with days like this, there's more learning that happens in the 3-4 hours of experience than what I've been able to convey in a classroom.
We have 88 girls teams competing this weekend at the RBC Convention Center, Winnipeg. And it's the 14 and under National Volleyball Championship. It's a championship that's wrapping up the season for all of these teams that are participating here this weekend. Most of the teams are from Western Canada, and we do have one girls team from Ontario competing. Over 1,200 teams are participating in all these events across the country over these few weekends, and we have 128 of them here in Winnipeg this weekend. Next weekend, it wraps up with the 15 and under Nationals in Regina. I want to say a big thank you to our volunteers. We have a lot of work, as you can see, and it doesn't happen without the volunteers. See some of these girls that are 14 now, perhaps in 8 or 10 years, you might see some of them on the national volleyball team.
I think it's great that we're doing a sport, especially for girls, because it does give us confidence, but it also gives us courage and strength that we can work with each other and actually have girl power for each other.
Playing sports is an opportunity for them to get out of the house, for them to socialize with their friends, for them to be more healthy and lead more active lives. Of course, I hope a Manitoba team will win. There's a high level of volleyball in the country and in Manitoba itself. But we'll wait to see until the final whistle is blown who ends up being the champions at the end of the day.
This fundraiser today was put together by family and friends to help Alyssa Selman raise proceeds for a new wheelchair. The wheelchair she presently has been using since her accident 8 years ago is barely holding together, and she's having troubles getting around, and it's something she needs to be able to achieve independence in her life and to be able to do things like a normal person can.
Oh, it's amazing. I had a lot of friends and family pull everything together. A lot of planning went into it and a lot of arranging, and the amount of donations and prizes was incredible.
We've got 5 equestrian events going on. 2 of them are already completed. The 3rd one is presently on the go, and we have 2 more after this. Alyssa is one of those types of people that everybody likes. She's got a great personality, and she's always willing to do for you, so it's nice to see something good be brought back to her.
I'm needing a tie-light wheelchair. It's a lighter weight wheelchair because I am so small, 85 pounds. I have to lift this thing over me into the car all the time. The chair I have now is falling apart. Like bearings, the wheels will fall off of it if I'm not careful. So it's a little precarious, and I'm just trying to get through till we can make enough to order this one.
I hope the best of what's possible can happen to Alyssa. I hope she can keep her mobility. I hope the proceeds from this fundraiser can provide her with a wheelchair and more necessities she needs to carry out a normal life for her. So I think that's what would be nice to see happen today.
We're here with Connor Geekie of the Winnipeg Ice. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
The playoffs start on Friday. You're going to be facing the Medicine Hat Tigers. How are you feeling heading into the postseason?
Yeah, I think we're feeling pretty good. I think it's, long awaited. I think the season, the playoffs couldn't come fast enough. I think just with the group of guys we had, we were pretty excited to see, what we can kind of do. And, I think it's kind of a revenge tour from last year, and, we're just really excited.
Coach saying that the Tigers, one of the more improved teams in the league. How do you prepare for that, for facing a team like that that's improved so much over the season?
Yeah, for sure. You got to give them credit, right? They're, they're a hardworking team, and they're going to be a tough team to play against. I think for us, it's just, a matter of playing our game. I think we've had a lot of success, over this year. So I think we're just going to try and keep that going and go in with some confidence.
When you look back at how the season has been for you and the team, what would you say really stands out to you over the past season?
A lot of things. I think a lot of guys stepped up in big ways. I think, a guy like Evan Friesen, who's really been coming along all year. You got guys like Connor McLennan, Zach Benson, Matt Safoy, everyone. I think everyone contributes on this team. I think that's something that we do so well is that, there's not a lone soldier out there. I think everyone brings a big role, and, that's why we have so much success.
What does it mean to be playing here at home? You came from Strathclair, you're Manitoba born and raised. What does it mean to you to be here and playing in front of your home province?
Yeah, I think it's pretty special. I think it goes, I try not to let it go unnoticed. I think it's a big thing for me. Family, my hometown has always been a big thing. When I heard Winnipeg was coming here when I was 15, I was pretty excited. So, I love playing in front of these fans and just in front of everyone in general. So it's good.
Connor is a big center who can, I would say, has really developed his two-way game over the last 3 years.
Crosses in with Wheatcroft. Geekie hesitates. He scores.
I think the last 2 months, especially, he is kind of taken a step forward as far as using his size. He's got an elite shot. Not overthinking, not overhandling, getting pucks in the net, and then just winning battles with his body. Obviously, he's a big center, and he's, you can't have enough of those guys. It just gives us, we are real strong in the middle when you got to stop Chick Savoy and Connor.
Your brother, Morgan, plays for the Kraken. Has he reached out to you, or have you had a chance to talk at all before you head into the playoffs?
I text my brothers every day. I probably call my parents every day. But I think the funny thing is we don't really talk about it, I wouldn't say. Obviously he'll say good luck or, just something a little like that. But, half the time we're talking about video games or, he's giving me a hard time about, something. It is what it is. But, that's what makes us so special.
From the Winnipeg Ice, Connor Geekie.
You're a draft pick of the Coyotes, and you're going to be one day playing in the NHL. Are you excited to maybe one day face off against your brother?
Yeah, I think that's been the topic of conversation a few times. I think I'm really excited. It's been cool. I've always grown up playing against him. I was just very thankful for his friends to let me, both my brothers, they let me join in every time. Whether I wasn't good at it or not, they always found a way to put me in. So I think it'd be a really special moment. Probably emotional. I don't like to admit it, but he's been a big part of how I got here.
Heading into the playoffs, you called this a kind of a revenge of what happened last season, being knocked out. I mean, what is it about this team and the kind of camaraderie and chemistry that you have?
Yeah, I think it's something hard to describe. I think, everyone just kind of gels together. I've never been on a team like this. I think, the past 2 years, the management has done such a good job with, doing our values and, compete, passion, and I think everyone's kind of bought into that. And I think it's really special to watch and kind of how everything pieces together. But like I said, the last 2 years has been something that I'll never forget.
Well, Connor, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck on Friday. Winnipeg's going to be behind you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Zalotti in front. Opportunity, scores!
There's a lot of excitement in our dressing room right now. It's the best time of year. We've been grinding throughout the regular season together, and just to make sure our systems are up to par and everything's dialed in. So we got a real excited group here.
Is there any one or two things that you say are probably your team's biggest assets?
I think our depth. I think that's the main thing that drives our team. We can get contributions from every line and every D pair and both goalies. So I think just the guys we have in that locker room and just how well we mesh together. It's pretty special.
He's an elite two-way center. He's the reason he was drafted as high, by Buffalo last year. He backs teams off with his speed, his quickness, great shot. Probably our most explosive player. It just gives us we are real strong in the middle when you got to stop Chick-Savoy and Connor.
We've had some injuries and some sicknesses, so it's definitely been tough battling that, having some games with the shortened lineup, but we've been battling these last probably month or two, so it's been good. I think everyone's getting healthy here, and we're ready to make a push in the playoffs.
What can fans expect, I guess, when they come to an ice game? Say, the one coming up on Friday here.
The atmosphere in our building last year was unreal in playoffs, so I think the expectations are kind of similar this year, and we're really excited to play at home for the first two games. Our group's really excited for the playoffs.
All right, big show tomorrow night here at Canada Life Centre, and I've got a very special guest standing by with me to talk about the big show, Chris Jericho. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be back here at the Canada Life Centre, one of my favorite arenas in the entire world, and getting ready for our AEW debut in Winnipeg, which is very exciting.
This is the second Canadian city that the AEW has visited. Toronto was the first Canadian stop for the AEW. How does it feel to be back here at home as part of the AEW and performing in front of a hometown crowd?
So it's interesting because AEW, the genesis of the company, basically formed when Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, also from Winnipeg, from Transcona, headlined the Tokyo Dome in 2018 in a match that was brokered by Don Callis, another Winnipegger. So that's kind of the first match where our boss Tony Khan saw the business that it did, because it did huge numbers on a worldwide basis on streaming and pay-per-view, that sort of thing, and decided that maybe the world was waiting and ready for an alternative. I can't think of another city that we should be making, our second Canadian show in other than Winnipeg, because it basically started here in a lot of ways.
So what is the next thing? People know you, of course, as a wrestler, an actor, author, podcaster, musician, business person. What's the next thing for you? Is there a next thing? Is there something surprising that maybe you're thinking of or that you want to try?
There's always a next thing, but it usually just comes at you. You know what I mean? Like when Fozzy played the Kiss Cruise, for example, in 2015, I was just on the cruise going, I could totally do this. I could do a wrestling cruise. Before that, I never thought, hey, I want to do a wrestling cruise. I don't have a list of things I want to do. I was just on The Masked Singer a couple months ago. I never once ever wanted to do The Masked Singer until they asked me, and I thought, that could be kind of fun. Let me give it a try. So I'm sure there could be something going on right now. I could get an email or a text or a call while I'm talking to you of something that I never thought of before. But if it sounds interesting to me, then I'll do it. I don't really care about money. I don't do things for money. I do things because I want to do it, because I feel like it'd be fun to do and it'd be something creative to do.
Very strange, especially in the treehouse.
I always think of that, like would my fans appreciate this? Would they think it's cool? Would they like it? Is it something that I think would put a smile on their faces? So there's a lot of that involved as well.
This has to be emotional for you. We've seen in your entrances the crowd singing along to Judas when you come in. I'm sure that's got to be pretty emotional. And then you're here being celebrated by your hometown. You're going to have a street named after yourself and the street that you actually
The street that I grew up on,
how does that feel?
It's amazing. Like, I actually threw it out there, like, just for fun, like, see if you can get a street named after me. And we started looking into it, and suddenly there was a little bit of interest, and then it kind of went away, and then it came back. And we were thinking of just some like back alley or something where we used to hang out and smoke cigarettes like in the 80s, but they actually asked me, where did you grow up? And I said in Westwood on Wordsworth Way. and that's the street they're gonna make it honorary Chris Jericho way, whatever they do it. So that's really cool. That's something that, like, I mean, you do a lot of stuff, and I always, you know, sit back and drink it in, man, if you will. But, you know, being in a video game is cool, or having an action figure, all that stuff is cool. But to have a street named after you, especially the one that you grew up on, you know, my mom, you know, passed away years ago at the house where we lived at when I was a kid. So it's pretty cool. Like, that's one of those things that definitely doesn't happen every day. And it doesn't happen to everybody either. Always talk about Winnipeg. It's always a blast to come back just to be here, but to actually have a show here and be in front of all these fans, it's going to be a special night that we remember for a long time.
Thank you so much.
This is called two-card Monty. There's only 2 cards involved.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you a way that you can cheat so that you win every time.
This might look like an ordinary playing card, but take a close look because there's a secret message hidden in this card.
I'm a magician, so I wanted to come up with a marked deck of playing cards. Take the ace of clubs and hold the ace of clubs like this. Now, if you don't trust me, take a peek, show the camera, make sure that's still the ace of clubs.
Look, it's the ace of clubs. Oh, I shouldn't say it out loud.
My wife, who's very good at art, decided to draw and create a deck of playing cards for me. And so it started out as a deck of cards for me, ended up into 4 different decks of cards. We ended up printing a total of 12,000 decks of playing cards, and our cards are now in over 45 countries around the world.
Wow.
Thank you. So you've got the club, I've got the spade.
Okay.
Now the way the game goes is I have to mix them up a little bit. So I've got the club, you've got the spade. The way you're going to cheat is you're going to pinch the spade,
okay,
so I can't get that card from you. So now if I go to mix them, without looking at that card, you know that card's the spade and the top card is the club. So this is where we'd make the bet. Which one is the spade, the top or the bottom?
Oh, well, the spade was supposed to be the one at the bottom.
Okay, go ahead and flip both those cards over. See, the thing is I've got clubs and spades in my back pocket, and that way I win every time.
You're the artist behind the cards. How did you come up with the idea, like what the artwork that you were going to put on the cards?
I wonder if there's a way to use artwork to make a marked deck of cards, so it's not just a boring, here's a normal deck of cards and you have like green smears on the back or something, but it's actually beautiful and then also has the intricate patterns mixed into it so that, you know, you're too busy looking at all the artwork that you don't see that it's actually a marked deck of cards, so it's tricky that way.
How did you come up with the red? So why red?
Red because of the red decoder glasses, and fox because foxes are sly and the whole point is that they're marked and you don't know that they're marked, so that's where red fox came from.
Now you have done different designs on the cards. How do you come up with the designs?
It's a combination of looking for different things just in nature that would lend itself nicely to how could you fit in a club in there secretly and a spade and a heart and a diamond, things like that. So for the second deck I used an anchor because that lended itself really nicely to what I wanted to do. I used the tentacles of an octopus for the second deck to hide all the numbers in. For the first deck, I like the little cute mushrooms with the little doors and stuff like that, so I just like that design. So I used a mushroom and the little doorway and the little staircase and the little ladder to fit all the numbers that I needed to in to secretly hide them. All the details with that need to be figured out before you actually put a pencil crayon to an actual, you know, good copy. But with the red filter over top, her eyes open. I love escape rooms, I love puzzles. I'm like, I wonder if you can do like an escape room experience with a deck of cards and then still when you're done have a functional deck of cards. So it's not, I'm done, what do I do with this now? And then there's hints hidden within them. And some of them you can see with the glasses on, some you can't.
Now it's 2023, your business is about 4 years old. How are things going for Red Fox?
We have a group of followers that we have a lot of people that are collecting our decks of cards, and we have sales coming in on a fairly regular basis.
This was completely just for Kelly. It's like, oh, this is a way I could like help him out with making him a deck or whatever. Yeah, that's as far as I thought it was gonna go. So this is kind of mind-blowing.
Thank you for watching the CBC Manitoba YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For the latest breaking news and top stories, download the CBC News app.
Narcisse, Manitoba. A leafy forest canopy conceals what lies beneath. Teeming with slithery activity, Narcisse is home to the world's largest concentration of snakes. Red-sided garter snakes. Thousands live here. They're harmless, curious, cold-blooded, maybe even a little cute. Narcisse is a tourism hotspot about 100 kilometers north of Winnipeg. Each spring, snakes emerge from underground cracks and caves in limestone bedrock. There are 4 main dens where snakes spend the winter here. They're connected by a network of hiking trails through the woods that get you up close and personal with the scaly specimens. And they emerge hungry for love. But it's not a one-on-one affair. Every spring, the grounds in these woods come alive with these. A single big female gets tangled up with up to 100 smaller, eager males. Narcisse, Manitoba is the site of the world's largest gathering of snakes. And it's because of the limestone earth here. It cracks and creates these caves underground where the snakes spend the winter. And then in the spring, when things warm up, they come on out and they form these knotty, kinked up mating balls, usually about 100 males to 1 female. And the way the males find the females in this mess of snakes all over the ground here, the female puts off this sort of kinky scent or pheromones, and that says, come hither to the males.
Somehow she chooses a mate in that group of activity. Often, if you're watching a mating ball and you see them suddenly go on the move, the female's rejected all the males in that mating ball, and she's trying to lose them and form another mating ball farther over, hopefully finding a more suitable mate.
Romantic in its way, no?
If you say so.
Teaching the mating ball is definitely interesting. There's a lot of oohs and ahs, but it's definitely a highlight. A lot of our kids don't get a chance to experience nature. We do a lot of nature activities with them, including the Narcisse snake dens. We go ice fishing, we go canoeing, and it gives them a chance just to kind of like find a new love outside of their, their games and their couch. And I think it's a really good experience for the kids. For a lot of our kids too, we have a lot of international kids in our program, that it's super interesting for them to just know that these snakes are coming out of the ground.
What's your advice to somebody who might come here and see a snake and be a little bit afraid?
Don't be afraid. Just go for it and hold it. It's really fun. It's that one time in a life experience.
The mating frenzy typically lasts a few weeks, usually from the end of April through the first weeks of May. Once the deed is done, the snakes disperse through the woods for summer. Litters of live babies are born. Frogs and grasshoppers swallowed up. By the end of August and early September, the caves call them back underground to wait out another cold Canadian winter. Bryce Hoy, CBC News, Narcisse, Manitoba.
Thank you for watching the CBC Manitoba YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For the latest breaking news and top stories, download the CBC News app.
We all know what a robin looks like. Their red breast and cheery bird song are a pleasant sign that spring is coming. But what if a robin was completely white? An albino robin is a fascinating sighting, and some southern Ontario residents have been spotting them. Why are they so different from the robins we're used to? CBC's Alison Devereaux spoke with Jennifer Nata, a program specialist at Carolinian Canada Coalition, to find out what makes them white.
It's a lack of melanin, the pigment that causes the dark color in birds' feathers, and it causes the same dark coloration in mammals as well. Our skin and the fur of, squirrels and deer and other animals you might see.
So what would that be considered? Is it like a genetic mutation?
Yep, that's exactly what it is. And it can come out in a couple of ways through an albino mutation, in which the animal has completely white plumage or fur, and it usually is accompanied, or it's always accompanied by a pink or red eye. and then a piebald or a leucistic version where there is some white.
So it's not tied to the change of season.
Nope, it's just a genetic mutation, and it can pop up in any individual, really.
So have you seen these white robins yourself?
I have never seen a true albino, but I have seen some beautiful piebald. I've seen maybe only a couple in my life with different extents of white. And it's kind of neat because when you see robins and other animals, you can't really tell them apart. But when you spot one of these truly unique individuals, you can kind of see them day by day and kind of develop a bit of a relationship with them. It's kind of neat that there's a unique one among the crowd.
Right, they would really stand out.
Absolutely.
How common are they?
They're not very common. This mutation pops up in maybe 1 in tens of thousands of birds, but when they reproduce, it's a recessive gene, so it doesn't necessarily mean that their young will have it, but it means that it's in the population. So when we have albino squirrels or piebald birds, you might see quite a few of them in a region.
Now, have you heard of them being in the Windsor area before, or is this a first?
I've seen the piebald ones. Like I said, I haven't seen an albino, but I have seen a couple of piebald myself, and I've had people share photos with me, and I'm always excited to see the different individuals.
Right. Well, what can budding birders do if they're lucky enough to try to get a photo of these birds?
You can, share them on your social media. You can share them with your local, nature center or anyone who's involved with birds in your organization. It'd be neat to just share those. Maybe other photographers or bird lovers might like to see that individual. And it's just kind of a fun way to share what's in your community.
That is Jennifer Nada, program specialist with the Carolinian Canada Coalition. She was speaking with CBC's Alison Devereaux. You can see pictures of an albino robin spotted in Ontario. Just head to CBC Windsor website, cbc.ca/Windsor.
Our next graduate is Shanar Ilya Kalafila.
From a harrowing childhood to graduating with a high school degree, Shanar Khalaf is a Yazidi refugee from Iraq who arrived in Canada in January 2018. Teary-eyed, she remembers how her father always dreamt of seeing her graduate one day.
My dad always wanted to see me graduating from high school, but unfortunately he's not here with me.
In August 2014, a group of ISIS terrorists attacked Khalaf's village in northern Iraq. They killed around 500 people in the village, including her father, grandfather, and uncles.
After that, they took us to jail, Syria, and other places. We were there in 2 years. After that, they took us there after a couple months. They killed my 3 siblings, 2 brothers, and 1 sister that were younger than me.
After 2 years of living in captivity in Syria, Khalaf fled with her mother to a refugee camp. In January 2018, the Canadian government helped her to get to Winnipeg.
When I came to Canada, I started my education again, and then I continued, and I always had a hope that I will graduate from high school.
Khalaf's community and teachers supported her to learn at her own pace.
I know they struggle, first as newcomers, and secondly as new learners.
Jamila Nasser is the president of the Canadian Yazidi Association. Khalaf has volunteered for the organization over the last 4 years.
A lot of the youth in the Yazidi community have been through extraordinary levels of trauma. She always had such a way about her where she always wanted to be involved, she always wanted to give back, she always wanted to be included in everything.
Post-graduation, Khalaf will work for a year to save for university.
My graduation is a big honor for me. I always dreamed of this day and to be graduated from high school and to continue my education. We faced a lot of challenges in our lives, but we did not give up hope.
With that resilient spirit, Khalaf hopes to pursue human rights courses and one day advocate for her community. Zabina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Washed out light of spring come late. Everything that was tied down is teetering. The doors are locked, the lights are off, but the phone still rings. I'm counting sticky cup holder quarters for coffee. Forgot my wallet in a rush for no good reason. If I could just call you now so you can make fun of me. No one wants to hear I told you so. Shut your dirty mouth, I told you so. Some memories won't come clear, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Our horses are getting old. Haven't had a saddle on Georgia in at least a year. But you know I woke up feeling bold. Had to know if I could hold on to her when she starts to rear. And when that old mare comes completely undone, puts me on my back, staring straight up at the sun. No one wants to hear I told you so. Shut your dirty mouth, I told you so. Some memories won't disappear, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so.
I'm in the heart of Scotia Heights at the north end of Winnipeg, where some unwanted solicitors showed up, well, at the person's house behind us. To give you a little hint, that's the sound they make. Let's find out what happened.
I seen 2 unwanted turkeys soliciting my front door.
What was your reaction?
It was surprised to see turkeys around the neighborhood, for sure. I heard them in the morning coming down Scotia, past that White House. I sat here and had my coffee, and sooner or later they came walking up. I actually started to like them, even though they're unwanted at first, and I think maybe we should have them as a pet. So I used my phone and used some turkey calls, and I lured them almost into the backyard until my wife said, we can't have turkey pets.
Do you think, Jeff, that we could try and attract them with the same call you used?
Let's give it a shot.
It looks like we found the wild turkeys 1 street over from Jeff's place. They just appear to be chilling in the street. But I'm wondering, why are they coming to Winnipeg?
Turkeys have had an interesting history here in Manitoba. In the early 1900s, they were actually hunted to the point that they were extinct within Manitoba, so they were extirpated from the area, so they could not be found whatsoever. And then in the 60s, they were reintroduced, the species that were once here, they came back. And since then, they've just really flourished, and as the human populations grow and urban areas expand into more rural areas, animals are starting to have to make home into the city. And turkeys were an animal that were hunted, so they want to move into the city so they will be safer from hunters. And they're a pretty flexible species because they don't have a lot of nesting requirements, and they're an opportunistic feeder, so they can really find their food anywhere because they'll just get what they can get. So they can really flourish in the city, which makes it really easy for them to settle into neighborhoods.
Do you think they would make tasty sandwiches?
I think they probably would.
Would you eat a wild turkey sandwich?
Of course I would. Who wouldn't? Why not? Yeah, for sure. Nobody's ever had wild turkey. I have.
I haven't. What is it like?
It's actually very good. If you put somebody in front of somebody a wild turkey and turkey, chances are they would know the difference.
Thank you for watching the CBC Manitoba YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For the latest breaking news and top stories, download the CBC News app.
I'm Kara Nordstrom, and I am a creator at Nordstrom Creations.
I'm Curtis Nordstrom, and this is Nordstrom Creations. We started in a basement suite. We were renting a basement suite, and we just made puppets out of there. And then we moved into a different home, and we were just making it out of like our living room. Actually, our master bedroom was actually our puppet factory for quite a few years.
Since you started, how has everything been going with Nordstrom?
It's been very, very good. We've been doing this for about 7 years, but this is the first time that we're opening up a store. So we are moving from our house to a location.
Did you ever imagine that you would get to this point in your business where you're moving out of your house, you're in a store location?
No, I would say definitely not 7 years ago when we first started. These expectations, you set them realistic at the beginning, right? And I always told Kara, like, even if you don't make any money from puppets, we're gonna fill the house with them. So that was always our ambition, was just the joy of making them and stuff like that. We didn't know a month ago we were gonna have a storefront. It might be small, it's only like 9 by 14, but it's a start, right, in a good direction. So we took a break for maternity leave when we had our child, so we've been on a break for about 7 months. So the goal now will be building up a bunch of the puppets we have. We bought so much fabric over the years, we literally have 500 puppets in process right now.
We have a lot of support online right now, especially in Steinbach actually. So we do have a lot of support from Steinbach already. We haven't publicly announced that our store is open, but I guess now we have. So I guess we'll see if people want to come in. Now we're going to be open for if people want to do lookalikes like in person. I can make a lookalike right in front of them.
It's my doppelganger.
Well, for us, part of our recognition in Steinbach is we'll be at the mall or somewhere and people will be like, I named a puppet you created. We do a Name That Puppet on our Facebook page, and so people will name their names. We have no idea who this person is. And they're like, you make puppets, and they recognize us, and it's a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to maybe some of those people coming down here and checking out our puppets in person.
Hey man. Theodore is French. Even though I don't speak French, Theodore is French. Aggie came from our little boy. So at 3 months old, he just kept saying Aggie, Aggie, Aggie all day long, and we were like, maybe we should make a puppet out of Aggie. You know, like we need to make an Aggie puppet. I voice this character. He is he reads books online to kids. Yeah, you know, I have so much to say. I have books to read for all the kids. I just love everyone.
Why do you think that people of all ages love the puppets so much? I mean, they're absolutely adorable, so it's easy to see what the appeal is.
Yeah, I think people have this built-in nostalgia, having grown up with like Sesame Street or Muppets or Fraggle Rock, and they have this built-in nostalgia for puppets. So it doesn't matter really what puppet they see, but they light up as soon as they know it's a puppet.
A dying tree is taking on new life in a southern Manitoba community. The tree has stood for more than 80 years outside the St. Pierre Joly Museum. The museum's main building was once a teaching convent. The tree was in bad shape after sustaining wind damage, but staff at the museum wanted to preserve the tree and its history. And that's where our next guest comes in. Lawrence Friesen is a wood carver from Grunthal. He was invited to check out the tree and knew right away what he wanted to do. Well, hi there, Lawrence.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Now, when you saw what was left of the tree, what did you think?
I kind of looked at it a bit, and then I saw that the top of it was flared out a bit, and I'm just kind of looking at it, and I saw the convent behind, and I just knew right away that it had to be an angel. And then I tried to think of something else, but no, it had to be an angel.
So then how did you go about transforming it into an angel?
I guess first I drew a design, and I presented it to the museum board, and then they approved it right away. And and then I did a carving demo there at their Sugaring Off Festival in spring here just a few weeks ago.
What does describe to our listeners, what does the angel look like?
It has wings sticking above the head. The hands on the angel have its palms out slightly, as if it's praying, and then it's looking up to the sky. And it's mounted on I made it look like it's kind of mounted on a stump. Like you can see her dress comes down, and then it goes in. And the reason I did that is so that they can put lights on it later at night, and then it will look like it's hovering. Because you won't see the base at the bottom.
Yeah. So about how big is it?
It is 12 feet high.
What did you use to carve out the angel?
Chainsaw. 3 chainsaws.
You used 3 chainsaws.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that process like?
First of all, you start to just cut out the big stuff. My uncle was a carving teacher, and he explained it to me very easily. Carving is all you got to do is take away what you don't want. So that's what I did.
Did you have to use like a chisel or anything when it came to kind of like the very smaller, kind of finer features on it?
No. So far, I've only used chainsaw on it. I will go back in summertime when the log is dry, because it's very wet inside, and you can't sand or do any kind of detail work with wet wood. So I'm going to let it dry over the summer, and then I'll go back, and I'll use like a Dremel and a die grinder, like smaller, more detailing tools, and then I'll finish it with that.
Lawrence, how long did it take you to do this?
What I've got done there so far was about 3 days.
Oh, wow.
But 3 days that were very interrupted because there was a lot of people around. So we did a lot of chatting, which is the fun part about doing the demos.
That must be pretty cool to have people coming by and talking to you as you're doing this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Well, what have people been saying to
Definitely
you?
a conversation starter.
What have people been saying to you?
Well, they just, I don't know, I guess they just think it looks really cool. It looks nice in front of the convent, and it's better than the stump that was there. You know?
So the angel that you've created out there, did you look at different pictures, art? How did you come up with the actual design of what you wanted to put out there?
Yeah, I look at different pictures, and I kind of have an idea in my head what I want to do, and then I just try to find some pictures that look like what I have in my head, and kind of use it as a guide, just for the more detail, the shape, and yeah. Like I use references, and you kind of have a wide range of angel pictures to pick from.
What is it that you love about wood carving? Because you're a wood carver yourself. I mean, Lawrence, what do you love about it?
I love creating things, and the artwork. I just kind of let myself go on it, right? So it's almost like a therapy for me. If I've got stuff on my mind or whatever, like regular life stuff, and I start carving, that's all gone. That all goes away. And now I'm into this piece of wood, and I don't know. It's just very freeing that way.
When do you hope to have it completed?
I'm thinking in August sometime. I think it should be ready. I'll go check it in between and see how it's coming. And definitely before fall, I want to finish it off.
Now, if people want to see some of your work, or they want to kind of see that angel in progress, where can they go? Where can they turn?
I have a YouTube channel, an Instagram, and on Facebook. And I have my name is Carvings by Lawrence, and you could find all that on there.
Well, Lawrence, we'll have to check in on you once you complete it, but really do appreciate you joining us today here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
That is Lawrence Friesen, a wood carver from Grunthal.
You just have to step back for like a second and be like, wow, how fortunate am I as a Canadian to be in a really short line to fly in space? Obviously, it'd be an absolute honor and like a life thrill, something I've been dreaming about since I was a kid. I saw images of humans walking on the moon when I was young, happened even before I was born, but I saw those images and it inspired me. It changed my treehouse into a rocket ship, and I've been going on space missions for years, but I'd be really excited to go on, I will be flying on missions some point in the future, maybe to the moon, maybe the International Space Station. A little behind the scenes look here at the Canadian Space Agency. I've been in the astronaut corps for 13 years now. I live and work in Houston, Texas at the Johnson Space Center. Been spending time in mission control on this mission, watching them control the capsule, learning about it. But this is what we do in the Corps. We just support the ongoing missions. As you and I are chatting right now, there are 7 people in space. I just work in that program. We have a huge team of people that makes human space exploration possible, and I'm part of that team. Space is changing right before our eyes, and the line between exploration and helping humanity on Earth, that's pretty blurry these days. Like, they're very closely connected. What we do in space is bringing benefits to humans on Earth, and we have huge ambitions to do more in areas like healthcare, remote healthcare, for example. If we're going to send humans to Mars eventually, we have to change how we deliver healthcare. But you know where else we have to change it? We have to change it right here on Earth. Right now, we send really healthy humans to the International Space Station. We screen them, we make sure we don't send any problems, but if we ever do get caught off guard and we have a big problem, our plan is to bring them home. When you go to Mars, you're not coming home. Once you decide to leave Earth's orbit, you're not coming home for 2.5 years minimum. And so you're taking all your problems with you, and you have to take the solutions. And this is akin to our communities that live in remote parts of Canada. Yeah, the plan is to fly them to a hospital when things go really wrong, but sometimes you can't. The weather doesn't permit, or there's a delay. And so their technology is allowing us to change how we deliver healthcare, and we're setting some big goals in that area. We use space more and more every day to deliver services on the planet, not because it's novel, but because it's more efficient. And we have huge challenges ahead. And so space it's not the solution, but it is definitely a part of many future solutions to tackle climate change, climate adaptation. We intentionally want commercialization of space because it buys down the costs of doing the other things, and it just helps us. And so I see it as hugely positive. I just want Canadians to know that they could make a huge difference. The opportunities are immense, and we're looking for bright minds to leverage the opportunities of space to solve problems on the planet. That's the way they need to look at it. So what are they passionate about? What are they worried about? And can they use space? Not necessarily like build a new satellite, but leverage existing data to solve current and present day problems.
I was really excited. I was just like hyped up all morning. It's like, oh my gosh, the Blue Bombers are coming.
One-time Grey Cup champion, Tanner Chadwell.
Interacting with the kids was like so much fun for me, and meeting everybody, and they're just so talkative and so curious and full of life, and they're very good at like everything they were showing me too. It was very refreshing, and I know we all felt extremely welcomed by the community. We all would have stayed longer if it was in the itineraries.
I would just throw like the ball around with no form at all, but then when they came here and showed me how a form is and all that, and I just felt more motivated and wanted to do it more. It shows sportsmanship and teamwork and working together. They gave me a football, actually. I'm waiting for it to clear up some snow, and then I'm gonna go out and play some football.
These kids have a lot of goods going for them in athletics, and they're very smart. I think it was a very eye-opening experience for them, and they were able to learn a lot just like we were.
Well, it is Manitoba Day. We're known by a lot of names. The Keystone Province, Manitoba, the heart of the continent. No matter what you call us, we're looking good for 153, at least if you date us by the colonial founding of this province of Manitoba that happened in 1870. Of course, our province with Indigenous roots that go well beyond that, our First Peoples. On this Manitoba Day, we're putting together a couple of prize pack. We've got a couple of them. We got a lovely water bottle and a really good set of socks with bison on them and a nice tote bag. We want you to play trivia with us. So now's the time to call 780-0893, 780-0893, or 1-800-268-5483. And we'll do a little live call-in. Don't be shy. It's going to be easy, I promise. We've got some audio clues. We've got some clues from nature and science and famous folks. So 780-0893 right now to play on Manitoba Day. Here's our first caller.
Les.
Hello there. Who's this?
Les.
Hi, Les. How you doing?
Clee.
Happy Manitoba Day to you.
And to you too.
So you think you know a lot about the province? You going to give this a try?
Do.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Do you want an audio clue, or do you want something from nature, or something from pop culture?
Nature.
Nature. Okay. Oh, this is one of my fave questions on the list. Ready? What, Les, is Manitoba's official provincial tree?
The white spruce.
Oh, unbelievable. So that is awesome. It's our first right answer. That's one of our clues for later. White spruce, selected in July 5th, 1991, as our tree based on its extensive range and contribution to development. Stay on the line, Les. It's that easy. You are entered in the draw. Pat will get your name and number. Yay! That's our cheering for Les. All right, next caller. Who have we got? Put Les on hold. Hi, good morning. It's Marcy on CBC. Who's this?
Sandy.
Hi. How you doing?
Great.
Good. You're live on radio. Happy Manitoba Day. Would you like a musical clue? Would you like an audio clue? Or would you like a trivia question?
Let's try trivia.
Trivia question. Okay, ready? What is Manitoba's, this is a difficult one. What is Manitoba's fastest animal? And I can give you I can give you options if you want. Do you want
Wolverine?
Ooh, I'm going to give you the options because you know what? You guessed one on the list. So it's not the Wolverine, but is it the lynx, the polar bear, or the peregrine falcon? Who's the fastest?
Peregrine falcon.
Oh, once again, good for you. All right, stay on the line and we'll get you into the draw to win our prize packs.
Thanks for your interview with the last lady.
Oh, thank you for saying that. That's very kind. You were saying thank you for the interview with the last person. Going into the Order of Manitoba. Beautiful. So we'll put you on hold here. Stay with us. We'll put you there. Live radio, folks. Haven't done it in a while. Let's go into the out-of-town line. Hi, good morning. Who's this?
It's Sharon.
Hi, Sharon. It's Marcy. How you doing?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good. Where are you calling from?
Oh, just rural Manitoba.
Yeah? Okay. You in an area that's going to get pummeled by rain today?
No, we're just on the edge of it. I saw the lightning from the bedroom window last night, but anyway.
Do you want an audio clue?
Sure.
All right. Let's do this. This is a musical question. I think it's an easy one, but Abby, hit that clue.
That's Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Look at you! Sharon's right in there like a dirty shirt. Yep, that is Randy Bachman, Robbie Bachman, Tim Bachman, Fred Turner, BTO. So,
right on.
Yeah, you got it. Do you want another one? Because I think you might be our gold star winner.
Oh, well, sure.
Okay, go 2 for 2. You're already entered, but 2 for 2. Next audio clue. So let's fade out, Abby. Bachman Turner Overdrive, which was the answer to that question. And the question itself was any member we were going to get you to name, the 1970s catalog.
Yeah.
Top 40. Here's the next one. So this is, I have the setup for this one. The character James Bond was inspired by a famous World War II spy master who was born and raised in Winnipeg. What was his name?
Yes. Stephenson?
Close.
Just a minute. What was it?
Close. Now, you're already in the draw, remember. So I'm going to put you over to Pat, and the next caller is going to answer this. We'll keep the Bond theme rolling, Abby.
Thank you.
So congrats. Happy Manitoba Day. Stay on the line. Hi, good morning. Who's this?
Hi, it's Ken.
Hi, Ken. How you doing? Happy Manitoba Day.
Yeah, same to you. Thank you.
So we're listening to the James Bond theme. The character inspired by a famous World War II spy master who was born and raised in Winnipeg. What was his name?
Well, he was a man called Intrepid, I think. Wasn't that Bill or Stevenson?
Yay! Yes. And actually, Sharon had it Sharon had it right as well. Just said Stephenson, but it is Sir William Stevenson, Man is Intrepid. Bonus points for you for knowing that.
Thank you.
What's your favorite thing about Manitoba, living in Manitoba?
Well, the fact that you can walk and sit on your deck and look at the trees and the birds, and it's quiet, and it's just peaceful. I love it.
I love that answer. All right, well, we're going to let you go off to Pat, give your name and number, and you're entered in the draw.
Great, thanks so much.
All right, let's go back to that out-of-town line. We're playing Do You Know Your Manitoba trivia here. We've got a couple minutes left before the news. Local line 7800893, out-of-town line 1-800-268-5483. Good morning. Who's this?
Kevin from Burden.
Hi, Kevin. Why don't you turn the radio down behind you, and then we'll play. Ready?
Why don't you turn the radio?
Okay, there. Now you got real live me and Kevin. Would you like an audio question or would you like a trivia question?
Go with the trivia.
Okay, trivia. Easy. You want an easy one?
Whatever.
What beverage are Winnipeggers known to consume more of than anywhere else on the planet?
Pardon?
What beverage? Oh, maybe it's not easy. I like it. What beverage, what drink are Winnipeggers known to consume more than anywhere else on the planet? It often gives you a headache if you drink it too fast. It's cold.
Snow cone?
Oh, okay. You have missed it this morning, but we're glad you played. Have a good one. Try again. All right. So see, you should never decide what's easy and difficult, right? Because we all have different breadths of knowledge, of course. Hi, good morning. Who's this?
Hi there. This is Kit.
Hi, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm well. Do you know what beverage Winnipeggers drink more of than anywhere else on the planet?
I hear it's Slurpees.
It is the Slurpee. All right, stay on the line and Pat will put you through into the contest. Thanks for playing.
Thank you for watching the CBC Manitoba YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For the latest breaking news and top stories, download the CBC News app.
The Stanley Cup Finals can be a thrilling time for fans. But for one small Manitoba community, the series is also inspiring a lot of hometown pride. About 100 fans piled into the Veterans Hall in Sudip Valley, Dakota Nation last night to cheer on Zach Whitecloud. The Vegas Golden Knight is a member of this First Nation in southwestern Manitoba, which has a population of about 1,000 people. Friends and family say they are feeling very proud of Zach Whitecloud.
So I watched him when he was a little guy, like a Timbit, at some of the native tournaments in Brandon, and never in our wildest dreams did we ever think we'd produce an NHL player from our community.
He's the only NHL player I've met, and it's pretty cool. He's my uncle, and it's quite exciting because if he wins the cup, he's going to bring it to Sioux Valley.
Now, in the end last night, the Panthers beat the Knights 3-2 in overtime, but Vegas does still lead the series 2-1. Blues legend Bonnie Raitt won 3 Grammy Awards last evening. 2 of them, Best American Roots Song and Song of the Year, were for a tune she wrote called Just Like That. The 3rd Best Americana performance she won for her cover of Made Up Mind by Manitoba's own Brothers Landreth. During her acceptance speech, what a shout out she gave them.
Oh, I want to thank the Brothers Landreth for writing this kick-ass song.
Dave Landreth joins us now. So Dave, take us back to the moment you saw her say that on the Grammys.
It was a really wonderful moment. I'm not going to lie. We definitely had our fingers crossed, hoping that Bonnie might win last night. And I whooped and hollered. I sprang out of my seat. I was extremely excited. And I was sitting there with my wife and my son.
Oh, how cool
really
that they
fun.
got to share it with you. How valuable is a shout out like that on the Grammys, the biggest music show arguably in the entire world?
I guess it kind of remains to be seen. If the activity on my phone this morning was any indication, I think people are really, they're really resonating with that moment as well. I've got a lot of people congratulating me and Joey and I, and that are feeling also pretty excited about it. I mean, we're over the moon. It means so much to us that Bonnie has plucked our little song seemingly out of the ether and just decided to take it on this incredible roller coaster adventure. So we're just beside ourselves.
Well, tell me about your day. Like, tell me about who's reached out to you and how busy it's been.
Surprisingly, I didn't anticipate it. Maybe you can tell by the way I'm dressed. I didn't think I'd be doing any press today. I just showed up. I'm working in, Joey and I started a record label along with our manager, Stu. It's called Birthday Cake Records. And I'm in the office like any other day. And I've been swamped with press all day. I've been doing interviews and been on the phone and had people come in with camera and take pictures of our luxurious grand office here. We're on the third floor of the Burton Cummings Theater, directly outside the men's bathroom. So it's been pretty funny. And yeah, my phone's just exploding with friends and family and fans congratulating us and getting excited. It feels really wonderful. It's a very, very wholesome moment.
How likely is it you're going to send Bonnie Raitt more of your songs?
I mean, I think we never dreamed of a world where we could get one song covered by one of our biggest heroes and influences. And it didn't happen because we pushed for it. It happened because she liked it. She heard it and she made a note and she came back to it all these years later, 10 years after hearing it for the first time. So, I think we're just going to leave it and let come what may.
Well, we'll be watching whatever comes. Dave Landreth, thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for chatting with me.
Well, this next story is being called a truly Canadian act of kindness by many on social media. It happened when a driver forgot they left a cup of coffee on the roof and drove away.
That happens. And a camera caught the double rescue. Here's your daily lift.
That's the most Canadian thing I've ever seen. I saw this car drive by with a coffee cup stuck to the roof. And I thought, oh my goodness, it's going to spill or cause an accident. And I kind of just turned my phone to the side. Another car rushed up beside it.
I saw the coffee on his car. Actually, I wrap cars, and that's actually why I noticed it, because I didn't want the paint to get damaged from the coffee.
I immediately thought, this is the most Canadian thing I've ever seen. Someone jumping out of their car in the freezing cold to save another person's Tim Hortons.
I think everybody's left like a coffee or something on the roof before, right? I put my four-ways on, just kind of ran over and gave a little tap. So, I gave him his coffee. He's like, hey, right on, bro.
So nice.
I think it's hilarious that people are saying that it's a true Canadian heritage moment. And they're saying it's like a Canadian hero thing. I just think it's so funny. You don't mess with a Canadian person's Tim Hortons.
Here's your drink, sir.
It is so nice.
So nice.
Save the coffee and save the paint job.
Save the coffee, save the paint job, save the day.
There you go.
Caught the news tonight. Lately it's always the same. Couple idiots running for president. They're passing out the blame. Dear apathy, you've been such a good friend to me. Tonight I'm wishing for a nice way to ask you to leave. I went out driving with my good buddy Shane down in Tennessee. I passed the Baptist church with the gates locked tight all week except for Sundays. Dear irony, you've never looked good on me. Tonight I'm wishing for a nice way to ask you to leave. I dreamed that I saw God on a Tuesday in the grocery store buying tomatoes, wearing their favorite pair of jeans. I watched them reach into their pocket pull out a faded note with their favorite poem. This is just to say, I crack another beer, watch that big moon rise, hear the coyotes yip, the cattle bawl, and my baby girl cry. A good night nostalgia, would you get out of my way? Lately I've been leaning on you through the darkness and into the day. A dream that I saw God on a Tuesday in the grocery store buying tomatoes, wearing their favorite pair of jeans. I watched them reach into their pocket, pull out a faded note with their favorite poem. This is just to say, I know that God doesn't need reminding, but even God Almighty loves a good memory. Yeah, even God Almighty loves a good memory.
Manitobans have been living in a real-life winter wonderland lately as sparkling frost garlands the trees and hangs like glittering lace on the landscape. Winnipegger Heather Heinem is an artist, naturalist, photographer, and educator, and a frost enthusiast. People are referring to it as hoarfrost, but what is it really?
It's actually rime. You can kind of get two kinds of frost in the wintertime. You get hoarfrost and you get rime. And what really distinguishes the two is how they're made. Hoarfrost comes straight from a gaseous form to a solid crystal, and that usually happens when it's fairly clear and calm out overnight. But rime actually forms from water droplets, so the liquid water depositing onto the surfaces and forming crystals. So you get much longer crystals, much thicker crystals, and they tend to last a lot longer. So we've been pretty foggy the last couple of days, so that's deposited a lot of frost, rime frost, or rime ice onto the surfaces. So that's what we're seeing right now. I don't remember seeing it last year either, but I do remember 2021, we had a really nice couple of days of it. And so it's not really common. Like I said, you tend to need a fair amount of moisture in the air for it to happen, and we tend to be pretty dry.
I have to ask, how many pictures did you take?
Oh gosh, I haven't counted.
I mean, I would imagine that the pictures are absolutely stunning, and a lot of people will probably be out there taking pictures of it. So what are some tips that you can give us for really capturing this beauty that we're seeing right now?
Well, the nice part about it is it's really easy. All my photos this time have been taken with my phone because it's what I've had on hand. You just find a nice sort of frame that looks really nice. I like trying to find contrasts in colors. If you want a nice bright white, it's best to get the sun behind you so that it's illuminating the frost in front of you. But it's also really nice to try to get some backlit pictures too. So it's the nice thing is you can just experiment, and that's probably why I have 100 photos on my phone.
Now, do you want to just stick your stick out? There. Okay. How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Get a good look at this. Yeah, younger. Are you kidding me? You want to get magged on a GoPro? Oh! Yeah. bro. I don't know. Hey, Lam. Hey! Ready! Go, Prep. CBC. Yeah! Dude, I'm gonna... Coming through, lab.
All right, we're rolling. We can go anytime.
You want me to do the clap?
Yes, please.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, big show tomorrow night here at Canada Life Centre, and I've got a very special guest standing by with me to talk about the big show, Chris Jericho. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be back here at the Canada Life Centre, one of my favorite arenas in the entire world. And we're getting ready for our AEW debut in Winnipeg, which is very exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the second Canadian city that the AEW has visited. Toronto was the first Canadian stop for the AEW. How does it feel to be back here at home as part of the AEW and performing in front of a hometown crowd?
So it's interesting because AEW, the genesis of the company, basically formed when Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, also from Winnipeg, from Transcona, headlined the Tokyo Dome in 2018 in a match that was brokered by Don Callis, another Winnipegger. So that's kind of the first match where our boss Tony Khan saw the business that it did, because it did huge numbers on a worldwide basis on streaming and pay-per-view and that sort of thing, and decided that maybe the world was waiting and ready for an alternative. And so if you think about it that way, essentially Winnipeg is the home of AEW, so it's very apropos for us to be here. Obviously Toronto is such a huge media center and such a huge wrestling city, but other than that, I can't think of another city that we should be making, you know, our second Canadian show in other than Winnipeg, because it basically started here in a lot of ways.
What do you think it is about Winnipeg wrestling fans that, you know, they embrace the sport, they say they're knowledgeable about it, they've been following your career, Kenny's career, all over the world. What is it about Winnipeg wrestling fans that you think make them special? Because you've traveled to cities all around the world.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Winnipeg. I remember, like, obviously Winnipeg's always been a huge wrestling town. This is where I started watching wrestling here in the early 80s with AWA and then WWF. Always been a great wrestling town, always been a great rock and roll town. And as a result, it's always been a great Chris Jericho town for obvious reasons. I just think Winnipeggers like to go out and do things, you know what I mean? It's in the summer, I think people like to go and do stuff because they're stuck inside. I think in the winter they want to be inside because it's so cold outside, and there's just a great buzz in the city for any type of event that comes to town. I was just walking through here and I saw all the concerts that are coming here. It's like every week it seems there's something big. So I think Winnipeg's just one of those towns. It's a great city to come to, and it's not easily accessible as well. I mean, I know we barely came here with WWE because it's hard, because it's 8 hours from Minneapolis that way, and Calgary's 12 hours that way, so to kind of be close to a bigger city. So I think when an event comes, people turn out to check it out, and that's definitely what's going to happen tomorrow night with AEW. It's going to be a party for sure.